Chapter 1301. Night Sorrow is right. If I had objected to him leaving Zhuyuan village back then, the current situation would be unbearable. Alive. Can an ordinary person live to this age? They might have already returned to the earth. Old Man Gu said. Old Man Gu is right. Yu Qing nodded. She was very satisfied with her son's achievements and was also very grateful to Old Man Gu. After chatting with his parents and Old Man Gu for a while, Night Sorrow left the city in the sky and went to Jie City. He found Yi Qianhua and told him about Qin Zhukang. Bastard, why would I look for you for such a small matter? I've been planning to do this for a long time. I just want to test his temper. I'll talk to him later, Yi Qianhua said. He knew that Night Sorrow had a lot of things to do. Qin Zhukang's matter was a small matter and he shouldn't trouble Night Sorrow. After helping Qin Zhukang solve the problem, Night Sorrow returned to the 9 grand floors. When Night Sorrow returned, Qing Lin and the officials of the Qing Emperor's palace were reporting something to Misty Rain. Good. You guys can tell him directly so that I don't have to pass on the message, Misty Rain said. Then, Qing Lin and the others told Night Sorrow about the current situation of the empire. The defenses were all completed. It's more stable now. The officials should return to their posts. Those who have clones should return as much as possible. Their families should be placed in the Qing Emperor's city. Everything should be normal. We have ways to counter them. Ling Tian won't dare to attack at all. Also, Uncle Shen Daozi, arrange for the Qing Emperor's guard to clean up the Qing Emperor's city again, Night Sorrow said. Your Highness, the spies in the Qing Emperor's city are hidden very well. It won't be easy to dig them out, Shen Daozi said. It's best if we can dig them out. Even if we can't, we'll let the other forces know that we're constantly cleaning up the Qing Emperor's city. They won't dare to infiltrate. Without a large number of infiltrators, the Qing Emperor's dynasty will be safe, Night Sorrow said. Just do what I tell you to do. What do you understand? Misty Rain said. I can't keep up with your thoughts, Shen Daozi said. I can't guess what your Majesty's goal is. I'll go immediately. He left to make arrangements for Night Sorrow's deployment. Currently, Shen Daozi was in charge of the Qing Emperor's palace's imperial guards, while the shadow guards were under Summer City's commander. Shengguan Hong was in charge of the Qing Emperor's imperial guards. This was what the Qing Emperor had asked Night Sorrow to arrange, as they were the most trustworthy people. After everything was arranged, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and invited Misty Rain to sit down. Mistress, no one will assassinate disciples here. If you have time, go accompany Master. It's okay. We've been husband and wife for many years. I haven't been with him for millions of years. Isn't he living a good life? Misty Rain said with a smile. It's different now. When people are suffering setbacks, what they need the most is the support and companionship of those around them. No matter how powerful Master used to be, he still needs his family now, Night Sorrow said. You're right. If you need anything, just send a message at any time. Remember, don't worry and make bold arrangements. There's nothing you can't do. Whether it's right or wrong, your master and mistress are behind you. They won't complain about you at all, Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow nodded. This was support regardless of whether it was right or wrong. His days settled down. Every day Yishang studied formations. His main body was constantly improving his realm. One day, Night Sorrow felt that he could go to the Black-Yellow Great World once to post a reward in Mingdao. As for being unfamiliar with the place, it didn't matter. Qing Emperor and Tang Jianfeng were sworn friends. He had a good chat with Tang Bo and Tang Xian. It was no big deal for them to help him post a reward. With this idea in mind, Night Sorrow told Summer City that he was going to the Black-Yellow Great World. I'll go with you. Your Highness can't go alone. Let Shen Daozi guard the 9-story tower, Summer City said. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded and sent Fei Xiu to call Shen Daozi. Your Highness shouldn't go out at this time, but His Majesty's injury must be treated as soon as possible. That's it. If anything happens, send a message back. If something happens at home, I'll crush Your Highness's messaging crystal, Shen Daozi said. Then Night Sorrow and Summer City set off directly. After arriving at Samsara City, they left the Samsara Great World through a transmission. Not long after Night Sorrow and Summer City left, Ling Tian of the Celestial Sect got the news. He was very concerned about Night Sorrow's movements. The Celestial Sect had influence in Samsara City, so they naturally knew about Night Sorrow's appearance. However, Ling Tian didn't find out where Night Sorrow had gone. Samsara City wasn't a place where the Celestial Sect could do whatever they wanted. Since he couldn't be sure, Ling Tian sent someone to guard the transmission formation. In addition, he sent spies to continue to sneak into the Qing Emperor's dynasty to investigate. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Night Sorrow and Summer City arrived at the Black-Yellow Great World through the transmission formation. The two worlds were very far away, but the transmission formation between them was of a higher level than the one Night Sorrow used in Chia City. When they arrived at the Black-Yellow Great World, Night Sorrow felt a different aura. After tasting it, Night Sorrow felt that if the Samsara Great World was full of fighting spirit and biting cold aura, then the Black-Yellow Great World was full of tolerance and weight. They were two completely different artistic conceptions. Night Sorrow knew that it was because of the different primary attribute. However, he didn't know what the primary attribute of the Samsara Great World was, let alone the Black-Yellow Great World. After feeling it for a while, Night Sorrow and Summer City walked toward the governor's mansion of the Black-Yellow Great World. It took them an hour to arrive. Mainly because they were observing the situation of the Black-Yellow Great World while walking, so they didn't rush to fly. When they arrived at the gate of the governor's mansion, Night Sorrow hesitated. Should he meet Tang Boheo, who was more congenial with him? Or should he meet Tang Jianfeng directly? "What's wrong, Your Highness?" Seeing Night Sorrow standing still in front of the gate of the governor's mansion, Summer City asked. "Governor Tang and my master are sworn friends. Since I'm here, I should pay him a visit. But he's a giant. Isn't it inappropriate to disturb him directly? If I asked to see Tang Bo, Tang Yi, and the others, it would be rude." Yishang voiced his concerns. "Your Highness is right. It's not good to meet them rashly. But if you don't, it'll be impolite." Summer City didn't know how to choose. Just then a woman came in from outside. It was Tang Yi. "Night Sorrow, you've arrived at the Black-Yellow Great World. Why don't you come in?" Tang Yi was a little surprised to see Night Sorrow. "I'm hesitating. I think it's a little abrupt to meet Governor Tang. It'll be impolite if I don't pay him a visit." Night Sorrow directly told her his thoughts. "My father has nothing to do recently. He's not in closed-door training. He's in the governor's mansion. I'll take you in." After saying that, Tang Yi led the way in front. The distribution of forces in the Black-Yellow Great World was very complicated. At present, the most influential person was Tang Jianfeng, the governor of the Black-Yellow Great World. In the main hall of the governor's mansion, Night Sorrow saw Tang Jianfeng. Chapter 1302. "You brat, I thought you would be able to stand at the door for a long time." Tang Jianfeng greeted. What was his cultivation level? He knew as soon as Night Sorrow came over. Night Sorrow greets City Lord Tang. Night Sorrow bowed. "You're welcome. I've heard about what happened to your master. The Celestial Sect is very despicable. Now they're relying on their predecessors. Otherwise they're nothing," Tang Jianfeng said with disdain in his eyes. "It's my fault as a disciple. I've brought trouble to my master. So, no matter what the price is, I'll help my master recover," Night Sorrow said. "I can understand your feelings. I've also looked into the ancient records and know what is needed. I can't do anything about the White Tiger's blood. Ming Dao has already issued a reward, but there is no news at the moment," Tang Jianfeng said. "Actually, I'm here for this. Thank you, City Lord Tang." Night Sorrow bowed deeply again to express his gratitude. "You don't need to be polite or grateful. When you're older, you'll understand how difficult it is to have an old friend in life. I'm not stingy with what I can do for your master," Tang Jianfeng said. Night Sorrow nodded. He was touched by the brotherhood. "That's enough. You're too restrained here. Tang Yi, take him to your two brothers. Yishang, you stay here for a while." "Don't think about anything," said Tang Jianfeng. "City Lord Tang, as long as there's news about Ming Dao, please inform me. I'll pay for it no matter what the price is." "I'll give you whatever you want," Night Sorrow said. Tang Jianfeng nodded. He was happy for his old friend because it was not easy to have such a disciple. Then Tang Yi took Night Sorrow to her mansion and arranged a courtyard for Night Sorrow. Then she went to inform her two brothers. "Uncle Xia, now it's up to fate. In the Shenwu Great World, Master's wife has already arranged for people to buy the Ming Dao. The Xuanhuan Great World has also done the same. Whether we can get it or not depends on fate," said Night Sorrow. "Yes." Summer City nodded. He knew that everyone had done everything they could for Qing Emperor. Qing Lin and Qing Wan mentioned going to the constellation White Tiger territory, however, they were stopped by Misty Rain. They did not have the ability to fight beyond their level. Entering the White Tiger territory, there was no possibility of obtaining White Tiger blood. Let alone a monarch-ranked White Tiger, even a high-level king-ranked White Tiger could kill them. The White Tiger race was a divine beast. They were naturally gifted and possessed the ultimate skill, Western White Tiger Kill. It was easy and simple for them to fight and kill opponents of a higher level. What the Qing Emperor needed now was monarch-ranked White Tiger blood. Qinglin and Qinghuan did not have this ability. Not to mention relying on numbers were meaningless. White tigers were fast and numbers were useless. This was one of the reasons why the Qing Emperor's dynasty had not made any moves. Misty Rain had said that if Sandalwood had not entered the Heaven Master realm, there would be a chance. However, once she entered the Heaven Master realm, it was impossible. If a Heaven Master dared to enter the Constellation realm, the White Tiger King would sense it and immediately appear to kill them. Besides, the Constellation realm's world origin did not allow Heaven Masters to enter. This was a protection for the world's creatures. While Night Sorrow and Summer City were talking, Tang Yi brought Tang Bo and Tang Xian over. "You bastard, you didn't even shout when you came. You could have just told any city guard in the city and they would have brought you to my mansion," Tang Xian shouted after arriving. "I just got here. I didn't have time to visit you. Sorry," said Night Sorrow apologetically. "It's nothing. Let's go. We'll set up a table in the best restaurant," Tang Xian said with a smile. "You're the host. Since you're here, we'll eat and drink." "Where's brother Tang Jun?" asked Night Sorrow. L+new_most. "Hurry up. My cousin is different from us. We don't have anything to do. He leads the army and is not usually in the Xinhuang city. Last time it was my father who took us out to see the world," Tang Bo explained. "Understood. Let's go. I haven't tasted the wine of the Xinhuang Great World. I must drink." Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that everyone's character was different. Tang Bo, Tang Xian and Tang Yi were all carefree people who did not want to be bound. Even the children of the city lord did not serve as officials of the Xinhuang city. Tang Jun cultivated his Dao by fighting, so he had been leading the army. After arriving at the restaurant, Tang Bo ordered a table full of dishes and the best wine. They drank and chatted. As Tang Bo asked, Night Sorrow told him the purpose of this trip. "Brother Yi, don't worry about this. We'll help you. Ming Dao has appeared and said that he will replace you. We can't guarantee anything because we don't know the price. We can only say that we'll inform you as soon as we have any news," said Tang Bo. "Our elders are brothers. Although we don't know them well, we can try. I hope we can be like our elders in the future," said Tang Xian. Night Sorrow stood up and raised his glass to them. "I don't know what to say. It's a bit fake to say that we're brothers. But for now we're friends. We can be brothers. That's the truth. Let's stop talking and drink," said Tang. Then Tang Xian told Night Sorrow another piece of news. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion in the Xinhuang city would open in 2 years. Night Sorrow could come and try. Night Sorrow was a bit confused because he didn't know what was going on. Your reincarnation world has the Reincarnation Palace. The Xinhuang Great World has the most famous Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion can't help with cultivation, but it will open every 3 million years. It's a journey of opportunity, a time to compete with strength and luck, said Tang Xian. Then Tang Bo explained to Night Sorrow. There were countless spaces in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. There were 99 of them in total. If one could reach the last space, there would be an unexpected reward. It was said that someone had entered the last space but failed the test. He saw the Heavenly God artifact but didn't get it. If there's a chance, I'll have to participate. I'm not from the Xinhuang Great World. Am I qualified? Asked Night Sorrow. It seems that qualification has nothing to do with strength. It's hard to say. It's the same several times. Those who want to go will be tested by the Xinhuang light. But I don't know what the test is. I'm confused every time. Tang Xian explained to Night Sorrow. Yes. After being shrouded by the Xinhuang light, you won't know anything. If you're qualified, you're qualified. If you're not, you can't enter the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, said Tang. This is too miraculous, Yi Shan said with some astonishment. Yes. Some monarchs aren't qualified, but Saint Kings might have a chance. As for how it's judged, I'm not sure. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion has existed since the Xinhuang Great World was formed. The interior can be considered a space or an alternate space world, said Tang Bo. Is there a way? Night Sorrow murmured in a low voice. Here's the second update. There will be 10 updates today. I've said before that I'll stop giving out rewards and updates. But I can't get over it. I feel like I'm letting down my brothers if I don't add updates. Shizi can't do anything shameful. Today's 10 updates are a reward for the Great Demon King's support. Also, with the support of 4 Vigor Pills, I'll also explode. But I might take a break in between before continuing. Chapter 1303. Understand BC I don't know. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is the most magical treasure and place in the black-yellow great world. It's like a miniature of the boundless universe. I don't know the details, but if you have strength and luck, you can gain a lot. But it's very dangerous, Tang Yi said. It was dangerous because the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth could only be entered by the original body. Only the original body could enter. In addition, the opening time was different every time. Only the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth could decide when to open and close. In addition, death was death. There was no chance of reincarnation. Both the soul and the energy of the body would become nourishment for the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. That's scary. They don't even give us a chance of reincarnation, Summer City said. The cost is proportional to the gain. If you want to gain something without taking risks, it's not in line with the natural law, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. That's what my father said. But there are many opportunities inside. There are many treasures that can strengthen one's genuine chi and soul, as well as materials for refining elixirs and weapons. My father's current status is inseparable from the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. You know about the glazed golden core, right? Tang Xian looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, I know. I'm an alchemist. Night Sorrow nodded. The glazed golden elixir is an elixir that can only protect one's body temporarily. My father got the glazed fruit and cultivated the glazed golden body with it. That's why he was so strong in combat and became the city lord of the Xinhuang city. Some people have other gains, such as the master of the Wuling mountain. He is so powerful that no one can defeat him in a head-on fight. Tang Xian gave Night Sorrow 2 examples. I see. Thank you, Brother Tang. I'll be there when the time comes, Night Sorrow said. Yishang did not need any more resources. He had everything he needed, weapons, armor, and elixirs. However, the Azure Supreme the Arch was lacking. The Azure Supreme the Arch lacked the Tao. Other than that, if there were other natural treasures, they might be of help. Alright, I'll go to Samsara world to look for you when the time comes. Then we'll go in together, Tang Bo said. After finishing the wine, they returned to Tang Yi's residence. Tang Bo and Tang Xian also stayed in Tang Yi's residence, but they were both resting. Looking at the bright moon rising in the middle of the night, Night Sorrow fell into deep thought. What is your highness thinking about? Summer City asked. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion is sentient. It has the final say in opening and closing. In other words, there are too many unknowns, Night Sorrow said. It's like this. In addition, I can tell your highness that the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is open to the public. However, other than the people of the great world of Samsara, other cultivators are not willing to enter. Although they have great attraction, they are worried that they will be treated unfairly. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is an opportunity, but it also requires nurturing and development. Who would be willing to be nurtured? Summer City knew about the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. He had been cultivating for a long time, so he naturally knew about some things. I have to go. When it's time to fight, I have to fight. Night Sorrow made up his mind. Summer City knew that Night Sorrow was fighting for the Qing Emperor. In order to find the right path for the Qing Emperor, he had to fight. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth existed at the beginning of the Black-Yellow Great World. How many Heaven Masters are there in the Black-Yellow Great World now? There should be some in the 100 space worlds of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. Therefore, Your Highness, you have to think twice, Summer City said after thinking for a while. I understand. Let's talk about this later. Night Sorrow naturally understood the danger. Maybe we will find the right path in 2 years, Summer City said. He knew that if there was a right path, Night Sorrow would not have to take this risk. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow smiled and went to the tea table to make a pot of tea. Uncle Summer, what we are most worried about is the unfairness. However, I don't think it will happen. The origin of a great world should have the boldness that a great world origin should have. The possibility is very low. Even if the possibility is low, who can be sure that it won't happen? If there are some uncontrollable dangers, it will be troublesome, Summer City said. Some time ago, my state of mind was low, which affected the improvement of my cultivation. The reason for the low state of mind is that I lack sharpness and the courage to fight with all my might. As long as I live, I will not stop fighting. This is what I have said before. Night Sorrow handed Summer City a cup of tea and said. Summer City did not say anything else because Night Sorrow had made his attitude clear. After staying in the Bound of Heaven for half a month, Night Sorrow decided to go back. He had achieved his goal and the right path was there. Tang Xian and the others who knew the situation in the Qing Emperor's dynasty did not force him to stay. Night Sorrow arrived at the world of transmigration through the teleportation formation. As soon as Night Sorrow stepped out of the teleportation formation, he saw many people eyeing him covetously. Summer City touched the saber at his waist and snorted coldly. Then he and Night Sorrow stepped into the teleportation formation. These spies were all king, but they were no match for Night Sorrow and Summer City, so they did not dare to make a move. They could only watch Night Sorrow and Summer City swagger away. After returning to the Qing Emperor's city, Night Sorrow found that everything was stable. "Your Highness, there are still spies. Summer City found a suspicious person. We don't need to worry about them. Let the Qing Emperor's guards clean them up later. They will be obedient after a few rounds," Night Sorrow said. The overall situation was stable. Night Sorrow did not care about the small things. The Celestial Sect did not dare to fight head-on. They could even launch sneak attacks. After returning to the Jiuchong building, Night Sorrow told Misty Rain what had happened this time, but he did not mention going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Then Night Sorrow went to visit the Qing Emperor. Summer City did not follow him. Night Sorrow asked Summer City to take the secret guards later and cooperate with the Qing Emperor's guards to clean up the Qing Emperor's city. After Night Sorrow left, Summer City hesitated for a moment and then told Misty Rain about the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Ming Dao is already on the wanted list. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion may not have it. Summer City is worried that Your Highness will be ostracized and treated unfairly because he is not a member of the Black-Yellow Great World Group. Sister-in-law, please persuade him," Summer City said. Misty Rain thought for a moment and said, "It's useless to persuade him. His Majesty's matter is a knot in Night Sorrow's heart. Let's see what his situation is like in 2 years. If it doesn't work, we can find something for him to do and stagger the time." Summer City said, "It's not that Summer City has a good attitude. Summer City thinks that Your Highness will definitely solve this matter in 10,000 years. There's no need to take such a big risk. If Your Highness dies, Your Highness's future will be ruined." Misty Rain nodded. She understood Summer City's idea. Summer City was worried about the Qing Emperor, but she did not want to see something happen to Night Sorrow. After thinking for a while, Misty Rain's eyes became a bit misty. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion is the manifestation of the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World. The internal space world is strange and changeable. It was formed by reference to the Great Thousand World. It can be said that it's a miniature of the Great Thousand World. It's not so easy to wander around. Night Sorrow's current state of mind is too stubborn to consider so much. Chapter 1304. Wink with a frown, please go to $. Then let's do as you say. Let's see what happens in the next 2 years. Summer City didn't have any good ideas now. After accompanying Qing Emperor for a while, Night Sorrow returned to 9-story building. He realized that he was a little silly. The death obliteration/clone could be cultivated. Night Sorrow wanted to cultivate the death obliteration/ with the Underworld Stone as the core. With the Underworld Stone he could use it. If the Underworld Stone was on him, he could use it. If the Underworld Stone was on him, he could use it. If it was on his clone, the clone could use it. Once the clone was cultivated, the main body could use the Underworld Stone whenever he needed it. The Underworld Stone wasn't a one-time use treasure. As soon as he thought of it, Night Sorrow went to the 9-layer building's secret cultivation room and began to refine the Yellow Spring Stone to recognize him as its master. The Underworld Stone was a spiritual treasure produced in the Underworld River. The death energy was very strong. Night Sorrow's process wasn't very smooth. The death energy rebound was very strong. Fortunately, Night Sorrow's soul power was of the Supreme Void attribute and could suppress the death energy. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to get it to recognize him as its master. The Underworld Stone wasn't big, but it contained extremely concentrated death energy. If the energy exploded, it would destroy the world. Night Sorrow used an entire month to refine the Underworld Stone. It was very difficult. Night Sorrow's face was pale and his soul power was greatly exhausted. Night Sorrow came out of the secret cultivation room. When he was getting some fresh air, Misty Rain saw him. "Night Sorrow, what's wrong with you? Your soul power is damaged and you can't hide the death energy in your body. Didn't you hide your true body?" "Mistress, I'm cultivating another absolute art. It's just the beginning and I haven't figured it out yet. I just need to recover. There are almost all the books I want to read. It's much more stable than the average website. The updates are faster and there are no advertisements." Night Sorrow said. "Be careful. There is no one else who can reach your level as a high-level king," Misty Rain said. Night Sorrow smiled. He was very happy. Being able to refine the yellow spring stone was a great gain. As for the consumption, it was not a big deal. He just needed to recover. After resting for 5 days, Night Sorrow recovered to his peak state. Next, he began practicing the Great Death Annihilation Slash. Night Sorrow naturally wouldn't hide from anyone and run to a secluded place to cultivate. He was in the small training field behind the 9-story building, constantly studying and deducing the cultivation of the Great Death Shattering Slash. Naturally, this scene could not be hidden from Misty Rain. After observing for a while, Misty Rain left 9 Chong building and went to 7 Night City. "Why do you look so pale?" Qing Emperor looked at his wife and asked. "Night Sorrow is cultivating Datura's Great Death Annihilation Slash. How can this be? How can he have the secret cultivation technique of the Great Death Annihilation Slash?" Misty Rain felt extremely uneasy. "You're anxious just because of this?" Qing Emperor poured a cup of tea for Misty Rain and said with a smile. "You're not anxious? Your disciple is cultivating someone else's secret technique. If Datura didn't take out the secret technique, how could Night Sorrow have cultivated it?" Misty Rain stared at Qing Emperor and said, "I know. It must have been given by Datura. Qing Emperor nodded. "Then why aren't you anxious? Datura taught your disciple a secret technique. Aren't you going to ask him about it?" Misty Rain was a bit agitated because Night Sorrow was the pillar of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. If he was taken away by someone else, it would be a fatal blow to the Qing Emperor's dynasty. "There are some things you don't know. Datura taught Night Sorrow his secret technique. They are engaged," Qing Emperor said. "What? They are engaged? Qing Shangjuan, are you kidding?" Misty Rain's eyes were wide open. "I'm not kidding. They are engaged. Night Sorrow will go to the Dark Abyss to propose marriage when he reaches the monarch stage. Not many people know about this, so I didn't tell you. You should keep it to yourself. Also, be generous and trust your child more," Qing Emperor said to his wife. "You are very calm. I like this kid, so I was worried that Datura would take him away. I just didn't expect this." Misty Rain was still emotional. "You still don't know Night Sorrow well. When he first came to the Qing Emperor's dynasty, he didn't know me, so I gave him some advice. Then I announced that I wanted to take him as my disciple." "What did he mean?" "He said that if I was willing to take him in as a disciple, he hoped to receive my guidance, not yours," Emperor Qing said. He remembered everything that had happened back then very clearly. "I'm not as generous as you are, but I won't mistrust him like this in the future. It's not that I don't trust him. I'm just anxious," Misty Rain explained. "If Night Sorrow can master the Great Death Slash with the Great Emperor Samsara Slash I taught him, he will be able to fight well. Take it slow. You will grow. Besides, Datura is very generous. He didn't fight with us for Night Sorrow, and he didn't make things difficult for Night Sorrow either." "That's a favor," Qing Emperor said. "Original version. Equals Shangjun, I'm sorry. Are you angry that I wasn't with you all these years?" Misty Rain asked. She was touched when she heard about Night Sorrow and Datura. "I'm not angry. I'm just worried." "It's good that you're back," Qing Emperor said. "Everyone is impulsive sometimes." "I wasn't calm enough back then," Misty Rain said apologetically. "It's all in the past. It's good that you're back." "It's good that you're back," Qing Emperor said with a smile. "It's good that you call it good? Look at you now. However, you've taken in 2 good disciples. Sandalwood will be able to take charge in the future. Night Sorrow is more determined. He went to the Xuanhuan Great World some time ago and offered a reward for you. He was even willing to take out the skeleton of the mysterious Ice Unicorn Tiger King. However, I didn't agree because it would be a big deal. It wouldn't be good even if there was a reward. It could easily lead to bad consequences," Misty Rain said. "This kid is a little too excited. If possible, he would be willing to give up everything he has. As for the skeleton of the Ice Dragon, it's not that he doesn't want to give it up. It's because he's friends with the Ice Dragons. He's worried that the skeleton of the Ice Dragon would be used as a material and be desecrated," Qing Emperor said. He knew Night Sorrow very well. He's now eyeing the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth will open in 2 years. If he wants to go, we'll find a reason to arrange something for him and make him miss the opening. As for your injury, I'll think of a way. I really can't bear to let a kid risk his life," Misty Rain said. "You make the arrangements. I've lived for so many years and have experienced life and death. I've already seen through life and death. I can't drag a kid down with me. However, you've really changed. You're not as willful as before," Qing Emperor said. "After being trapped in the alternate space for so many years, I've thought through everything. I was too willful back then. By the way, there's something I don't understand. Who is Datura Datura? He's not only powerful but he's also very arrogant. Why would he be engaged to Night Sorrow? I'm not saying that Night Sorrow isn't good enough. He's just too young. The two of them shouldn't have crossed paths, Misty Rain said. Chapter 1305. Some things can't be explained clearly. It's fate. I think the two of them are very suitable for each other. Although Datura Datura is willful and overbearing, there are things that she shouldn't do. Not to mention Night Sorrow, he's very tolerant. They are indeed very suitable for each other, Qing Emperor said with a smile. The two of them are involved and no one would believe me if I told them about the engagement. They are two people who shouldn't have crossed paths in the first place. Heavenly Monarch Yufei sat down and calmed down a bit. We are husband and wife, so let's not hide it. You know what it means to have a supreme attribute. Night Sorrow has a supreme attribute. I support him because we are master and disciple. If Datura Datura knows about it, does she have a choice? She can either kill him or support him. If she supports him, how can she maintain the relationship? It's impossible for them to be master and disciple because Night Sorrow doesn't want to be master and disciple. So, on the basis that they are kindred spirits, an engagement is the best way, Qing Emperor said. I understand. I heard from Summer City that Zhang Taiyang came to catch Night Sorrow once. You are worried that he knows something so you want to kill him at all costs, right? Misty Rain said. You know me well. I don't want to provoke the Celestial Sect, but Zhang Taiyang must die. Even if he ran to the Celestial Sect, he was destined to die from the moment he set his eyes on Night Sorrow. Qing Emperor nodded. I understand. You are master and disciple. We are husband and wife. I also drank tea from his wife. We will be on the same side in the future, Misty Rain said. You can come back in time and have such a change. Isn't it fate? Qing Emperor exhaled and sighed with emotion. Night Sorrow was in the martial arts arena of the 9 grand floors. Sometimes he would wield the space splitter. Sometimes he would lower his head and ponder. This was because he had to constantly perfect the cultivation of the Great Death Obliteration / Cultivation techniques and absolute arts were not something that could be mastered just because one had a secret cultivation technique. They had to be constantly revised. Night Sorrow's deathly annihilation / grew increasingly powerful as he continued to cultivate himself. As he brandished Space Splitter, a black halo of light rippled outwards. That was the area affected by the deathly annihilation / Enveloped by the black halo of light, the target's soul power and space-time around them would be affected. Take shape. After cultivating for 7 days, Night Sorrow managed to form the Great Death Obliteration / However, it was only a form. If he wanted to cultivate it to maturity, it would take some time. In addition, Night Sorrow discovered that the Underworld Stone was a rare treasure. After the death energy was exhausted, it could quickly absorb the energy of heaven and earth to recover. Night Sorrow understood that it was not easy for Datura Datura to get the Underworld Stone. She could also use it herself. Night Sorrow would chat with Datura Datura when he had time. However, he did so behind the scenes. He did not want to be ostentatious or cause any criticism. Datura Datura was very appreciative of Night Sorrow's cultivation results. This was because she knew how difficult it was to cultivate the Great Death Obliteration / The days of cultivation passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Night Sorrow had completely mastered the Great Death Obliteration / At this time he had 2 absolute arts. In addition, after accelerated cultivation under the care of the Samsara Palace, his will of nothingness had reached the peak of the 7-star king. His will of time and space had also reached the late stage of the 6-star king. His strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Sandalwood also came out of seclusion. He had cultivated in the time-accelerated treasure for 5 years. After stabilizing his realm, he had successfully cultivated the leakless true body and refined a drop of soul cultivation fluid. He was anxious because the situation was not stable. He used his will to force the soul cultivation fluid to absorb it. It took him a lot of effort to refine a drop. Absorbing it at high intensity and speed was his limit. Night Sorrow was very happy when Sandalwood came out of seclusion. He held a banquet for him. The banquet was held in the small lakeside house of 7 Night City. Master, it was my incompetence that caused you to be severely injured. I will take revenge for this. Sandalwood looked at Qing Emperor and said, It's nothing. Qing Emperor smiled and shook his head. He was very happy to see his 2 disciples. See it for free forever. Q. After a few more days I will go and take Ling Tian's dog life. Sandalwood's eyes were filled with killing intent. There's no rush. You're a little impatient. You should discuss this with your junior brother. Qing Emperor said. Mistress, I'm very sorry. I didn't take good care of Master when you weren't around. Sandalwood bowed to Misty Rain. You're still the same. No matter how unhappy Mistress is, you're always respectful. Mistress drank your junior brother's tea, but she didn't drink yours. Misty Rain said. Sandalwood was stunned. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, Junior brother, my tea can't be drunk. Help me brew a pot. Night Sorrow nodded. He brewed a pot of tea and lit an incense. Sandalwood knelt on one knee. He held the tea in front of Misty Rain and said, Mistress, please have some tea. Taking the tea, Mistress of Flying Rain looked at Sandalwood and said, Mistress has been prejudiced against you for countless years. She has made things difficult for you and made things difficult for you. Mistress of Flying Rain feels bad for you. Mistress of Flying Rain, drink this cup of tea and let go of the knot in your heart. Everything is over. After speaking, Heavenly Lord Yufei drank the tea and helped Sandalwood up. Mistress, you're thinking too much. Master adopted me. In my heart, Master is my father. Mistress is my family. I don't mind scolding you. Sandalwood shook his head. After the banquet, Sandalwood showed up at Qing Emperor's imperial court. She defeated martial god Shiyang, who was stationed in the world of reincarnation. Only then did she go into seclusion for the second time. This was a big deal. Blood Emperor Sandalwood fought against Celestial Sex Heaven Master Puppet for the first time. She defeated martial god Shiyang for the second time. Everyone knew her name even if they didn't want to. Everyone knew that as time passed, Sandalwood would become stronger and stronger. Although the top powers still surrounded the East District of the world of reincarnation, no one dared to act rashly. The Qing Emperor's imperial court was too strong. This was because something had happened to the Qing Emperor. If nothing had happened to the Qing Emperor's imperial court would be invincible in the world of reincarnation. The situation was stable. Night Sorrow cultivated hard. He still remembered the time. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion opened. A year had passed and there were no clues about the clear Tao. Night Sorrow knew that no one had the clear Tao. He had to fight for it and find it. There were many rare treasures in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Therefore, Night Sorrow placed his hopes in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion was dangerous. Strength was important. Night Sorrow's original body cultivated and comprehended realms. His doppelganger cultivated battle techniques, studied arrays and created array discs. What made Night Sorrow happy was that the 9 regions world had completed its evolution. It had evolved into a high-level world. Its surface area had expanded without anyone noticing. Its borders and boundaries had expanded infinitely. Now its surface area was no smaller than the Heaven Mystic world. However, under Night Sorrow's influence, the layout of the 9 regions world did not change much. It was only the outer boundaries that expanded infinitely. Chapter 1306. It has almost all the books you want to read. It's much more stable than ordinary websites. It updates faster and has no advertisements. The world and the sector lord complemented each other. When the 9 regions world became a high-level world, the 9 regions origin became stronger. It could help Night Sorrow's soul cultivation increase at any time. The 9 regions world origin bead was with the doppelganger, so it couldn't help the original body improve the soul power. Night Sorrow's original body had no choice but to communicate with the Samsara Palace and apologize. It's okay. It's within the rules. Just let me know if you need anything. The origin of the Samsara Palace was not impatient. After receiving the 9 regions world origin bead from the doppelganger, Night Sorrow's original body started to cultivate again. Cultivators were divided into chi refinement and body refinement, but they were actually divided into 2 parts. One was the soul and the other was the body. With the replenishment of energy from the 9 regions world origin bead, Night Sorrow's soul cultivation increased at a terrifying speed. Night Sorrow's doppelganger returned to the 9 layers building and started to study the formation plate because it was a way to protect himself. When he was tired from cultivation, Night Sorrow sometimes went home. Sometimes he went to Datura to see Datura in the dark abyss. Datura felt that it was inconvenient to meet in the Dragon Bone Palace, so he built a small courtyard not far from the dark abyss. When Night Sorrow went there, they met and talked in the small courtyard. Datura also knew that Night Sorrow was going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. I don't know if other people will be discriminated against or plotted against when they go to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, but I don't think any life of the way of heaven will deliberately set you up. You have a body of merit, so the consequences of setting you up are very serious. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion is the manifestation of the origin of the black-yellow great world. Advertisement. Datura was a life of the way of heaven, so he knew more than ordinary people. That's fine. I'm not afraid with my ability, Night Sorrow said. No matter what, I will support you. Datura nodded. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. He knew that this was Datura. Although she was a woman, she did things with a heroic spirit that ordinary men did not have. Usually when she was beside him, she was gentle like water. They were two extremes. After staying for half a day, Night Sorrow left. He was now the core of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. There were still some things that he had to deal with. After returning to the 9 stories building, Night Sorrow saw that the core members of the God-slaying team were all present. Why do you have time to see me? Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. 13th brother, we plan to join the 9 Heavens army and fight alongside the army, Tianyu said. At this time, Tianyu's face was full of heroic spirit. After many years of cultivation and settling down, he was no longer the naive youth who had just taken human form. Why do you have such thoughts? Ime, do you think so too? Night Sorrow asked. 13th brother, this is not the idea of just Tianyu and I. It is the idea of all the members of the team. The weakest member of the God-slaying team is a high-level saint, and the strongest is not far from comprehending will. So, merit points are especially needed. In addition, we also need to use actual combat to train ourselves, Ime said. Captain, this is the decision of all of us, Ho Jian said. That's fine. I'll talk to Nulin later. You guys will join the Nulin army and form a team. Night Sorrow nodded in agreement. Captain, the cultivation of the members of the God-slaying team has increased rapidly. I can no longer be the vice-captain. Today I came to ask if I can join the 9 Heavens army. The other reason is that I want to take over the vice-captain position, Xueling said. It seems that the God-slaying team has changed a lot during the time I haven't asked about you. Tell me about it. Yishan nodded. Xueling then told Xueling his thoughts. He planned to retire and let Long Jin take over as the captain. Long Jin went out with you, but he didn't join the God-slaying team, right? Night Sorrow asked. We've discussed and invited Long Jin to join the God-slaying team. Long Jin has been a member for a long time, Xueling said. I don't want to be the vice-captain. I just want to train with all of you and fight with my brothers. I don't mean anything else. Long Jin was puzzled because he didn't know about this. You're now a 2-star king. In the absence of the captain, you can lead your brothers better. In the God-slaying team, the vice-captain is not a leader. He just leads everyone well. Now you can do that, Xueling said. Yes, the vice-captain exists to take care of his brothers. I can't do it now either. I'll let Yun Huang or Liang Yu take over. They're both peak Saint Kings. I'm still a bit lacking. They and Long Jin can lead the God-slaying team better, Ho Jian said. What a big change. We'll hold a banquet at the training ground tonight. I haven't drunk with everyone in a long time. I'll also solve some problems. Manager He, please make the arrangements, Night Sorrow said to Hichio. After Long Jin and the others left, Night Sorrow took out his alchemy cauldron and started making pills. He hadn't prepared resources for the God-slaying team for a while. Commander, they're the elites of the 9 regions world. After they rose, they became the backbone of the 9 regions world, Jun Xuanji said. Previous #BF, they're all my brothers. They have an unyielding fighting spirit in their hearts. What's limiting their achievements might be their talent, but it's not their beliefs or willpower. I'll buy the materials for the spirit accumulation pill and the spirit perception pill. If my brothers work hard, I'll help them, Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji nodded. Others might not know, but she knew the relationship between Night Sorrow and the God-slaying team. Back in the 9 regions world, the God-slaying team had followed Night Sorrow to conquer the world. In the evening, a few large tables were set up at the training ground for a banquet. When Night Sorrow arrived, all the members of the God-slaying team stood up. Those who were outside had also returned, including Qin Zhen, Guan Yi and Ren Tianji. Ren Tianji had also joined later. Brothers, I'm sorry. I haven't asked about the God-slaying team during this time. I'm not a qualified captain, but I won't resign. I'll be responsible for all of you to the end because we'll be brothers for life, Night Sorrow said to the group. What responded to Night Sorrow was the sound of someone knocking on their chest armor. The original vice-captains, Xueling and Ho Jian, no longer want to be vice captains. I won't force them because they're under pressure. They don't dare to be careless when leading their brothers. It's really tiring. In the future, the god-slaying team will have 3 vice captains. Long Jin, Liang Yu and Yun Huang. The 3 of you will lead everyone to explore the world. Nan Liua, this is a resource. The usage of the pills inside is very clear. As long as anyone needs it, just give it out. Sovereign King, your goal is to become a sovereign king. What I, Yi Shang, can do is to help you walk on the path of becoming a sovereign king. Yi Shang gave Nan Liua a storage ring and said. The members of the god-slaying team bowed to Night Sorrow. Liang Yu, Yun Huang, the 2 of you have good talent. It's just that you haven't cultivated for long. If you work hard, the path of the king is right in front of you, Night Sorrow said to Liang Yu and Yun Huang. Chapter 1307. Liang Yu and Yun Huang nodded. The 2 of them had worked very hard these past few years. Coupled with their good talent, they had already surpassed the older generation of the 9 regions world and reached the peak of the Saint King realm. The only ones they could not compare to were Tian Yu and Yi Mei. There was a difference in talent. Of course, the members of the god-slaying team put in several times more effort than ordinary cultivators. They cultivated in the pagoda of time and space, then went out to fight and stabilize their cultivation. Then they came back and cultivated again. It was a cycle of high intensity. The members of the god-slaying team also knew that their current achievements mostly came from Night Sorrow's support, the pagoda of time and space, and the unlimited supply of resources. Others didn't have such conditions. Hard work came second when they had conditions. It's been a long time since I drank with my brothers. It's not that I've forgotten everyone, and it's not that I'm king and don't want to drink with everyone. There's just too many things. These years, one thing after another has happened. I can't stop it all, Night Sorrow explained. Brother 13, we all understand you. All these years we worked hard to cultivate. Part of it was for our personal achievements, but most of it was because we wanted to share some of your burdens. We can still kill enemies together, Tianyu said. I understand. Right now, my original body is cultivating in the Samsara Palace in the world of Samsara. I need the pagoda of time and space to speed up. When I can give it to everyone, I'll take it out, Night Sorrow explained. 13, you're the pillar of the 9 regions world. Your achievements will determine the status of the 9 regions world. So, you have to take care of yourself first, Guan Yi said to Night Sorrow. Senior brother, are you used to the dark abyss? Night Sorrow asked. Used to it? You can ask the Qingjin. In terms of status, we are respected, but during training it's torture, Guan Yi said with a bitter smile. An old man looked at the 2 of us and gave us a big leather whip. If we didn't do well, he would give us a big leather whip. However, after we cultivated, we were treated very well. The commander of the army we stayed in was very polite to us, Qingjin said with a smile. That's for your own good. It's difficult for others to have this opportunity. Whether you 2 want to stay there or come back, it's up to you, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He understood that this was all arranged by Datura. First message while drinking, Night Sorrow was very happy. Because of his good mood, Lei Bao, Lei Zheng and Ho Jian were all drunk by Night Sorrow. Dizzy from drinking, Night Sorrow staggered back to the 9 grand floors to rest. Night Sorrow went to rest, but there were still people in the hall of the 9 grand floors. Misty Rain was talking to her children, and Summer City was there as well. Imperial Mother, Junior Marshal Brother doesn't look like a proper person. What His Highness? He's drunk so much, Qing Wan said with a smile. He's actually still young. It's good for him to relax sometimes, it's good for him to settle down, Misty Rain said. It's not like that. Those 40 or so people are His Highness brothers. When His Highness was still a venerable, they followed His Highness to conquer the profound mysteries realm and the nether realm. They all made great contributions. In His Highness' heart, he hopes that these brothers can achieve great things. Today he saw that these people are doing well, so he's happy, said Xia Cheng. This is true temperament. It's rare and precious. However, it's good to have a group of brothers who can drink whenever they want. Misty Rain said with a smile. Sister-in-law, actually, Summer City admires His Highness the most. With so many brothers and countless battles, no one has fallen. This is very difficult, Summer City said. I have to admire this. When Junior Marshal Brother led the army, the casualties were the least. He crippled more than 10 troops of the Dark Army and destroyed 2 troops of the Red Emperor's empire. All our losses added up to only 1 army, which is less than 1/10 of the enemy's. This is also the biggest reason why Junior Marshal Brother is respected in the Qing Emperor's empire. Qing Wan nodded. Learn from him. Although you might not be able to do so well, at least have the heart to improve, Misty Rain said to her daughter. Imperial Mother has changed too. She didn't scold us in the past, Qing Wan said to Misty Rain. If you don't listen, then scold. There's no harm in learning from your eldest senior martial brother and little junior martial brother, Misty Rain said. After sleeping for a while, Night Sorrow woke up early. Then he cultivated in the martial arts practice field and cultivated his ultimate skills. As the original body-soul power in the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda increased, the power of Night Sorrow's ultimate skills increased again. The strength of a high-level cultivator was largely dependent on their soul power. Why was the Divine Night Monarch the overlord of the 9 Firmament World Group? Why did Dachura's strength soar after using the soul cultivation liquid? It was because he refined the soul cultivation liquid and increased his soul power. With a strong soul power, the power of many battle skills would increase. The 9-domain world's origin emitted energy that could increase soul power for Night Sorrow to cultivate. Naturally, Night Sorrow's soul power increased rapidly. Monarch strength, Misty Rain said as she watched Night Sorrow cultivate. Even if he doesn't use his ultimate skills, his normal attacks are at my level, Qing Wan, who had been by Misty Rain's side all this time, said. Yes, if he reaches the Star King realm, he will be invincible below the Sky Master level. When he is at the Monarch realm, he will have hope to fight against the Sky Master level giants. However, that will depend on his own ultimate skills. The power of his trump card determines the strength of his combat power. Your father is very good at recruiting disciples. Sandalwood is invincible among those at the same level. This guy can fight above his level. Very good. Misty Rain nodded. She was now thinking whether she should stop Night Sorrow from going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow made tea. After brewing it, before Night Sorrow could bring it over, Misty Rain and Qing Wan came over. Mistress, Senior Martial Sister, sit. Heart-cleansing tea, it's not bad, Night Sorrow said. Heart-cleansing tea is not bad. There are many famous teas in the Qing Emperor's dynasty, but it's not as good as yours, Qing Wan said. Actually, I still have some good teas. However, it's only good when I use it with cultivation, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Better than heart-cleansing tea? Don't joke around. Qing Wan looked at Night Sorrow and said, soul-nurturing tea can nourish the soul. Senior Martial Sister, don't you think it's the best tea? Night Sorrow said, soul-nurturing tea? Is it related to the soul-nurturing liquid? Qing Wan looked at Night Sorrow and asked in surprise. Yes, it's related to the soul-nurturing liquid. The difference is that the soul-nurturing liquid can only be used by monarchs, but the soul-nurturing tea can be drunk by anyone. Therefore, I'm drinking the tea to cultivate now. I'll leave some for Mistress and Senior Martial Sister, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Sigh, you rascal. If you didn't have a few virtuous wives who are as beautiful as jade, even I would want to give Qing Wan to you, Heavenly Monarch Yufei said. Mistress, you're joking, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Have Qing Wan as his wife? Night Sorrow felt that it was torture. Chapter 1308. Qing Wan was very outstanding. She was beautiful, had a good figure, and had a good temperament, but her personality was a bit strange. Night Sorrow even thought that whoever married Qing Wan in the future would be unlucky and would be tortured to death. Either she had a bad temper or she would be sick of people. It would be very uncomfortable. It was not worth it to be tortured in life just for a moment of happiness. What kind of eyes are you looking at? You don't like me, but I don't like you. Qing Wan glared at Night Sorrow. Ha ha ha. Night Sorrow could only laugh. He could not say that he liked her, nor could he say that he did not like her. Night Sorrow, to tell you the truth, your master and I do not agree with you going because it is too dangerous, so don't be too tired from training. In 10,000 years, do you think we can't solve your master's problem? We definitely can. Misty Rain said. When I was young, I was separated from my parents and lived in Bamboo Garden Village. I was a hunter and relied on my father Gugu for survival. However, my father Gugu told me that one must be responsible for everything. Later on, when I embarked on the journey of cultivation, I understood another principle. Being responsible for everything is a character, and at the same time, it is also one's nature. Only by doing this can one's heart be flawless. On the matter of master, I feel guilty in my heart. Although I have lived for a short time, I have never done anything that I cannot face. Therefore I can face everything, face myself and face my heart. Night Sorrow did not refute Misty Rain's words, but only spoke of his own philosophy. Misty Rain looked at Night Sorrow and did not know how to refute. Junior brother, we can solve the matter of Father Emperor. It is not in the short term. Qing Wan said. On this matter, senior sister Qing Wan and senior brother Qing Lin did not blame me, but I can't live with myself. When I do things, as long as there is a chance, I do not want to give up. This way I will never regret it. I will never regret it because of my own hesitation and missing out on something. Master's wife, senior sister, you all drink tea. I will go and train. Night Sorrow carried Lai Kong and went to the martial arts practice field. What kind of stubbornness is this? Qing Wan muttered. This is not stubbornness. Qing Wan is right. This is character and quality. In fact, the deepest feeling I've had these days is to understand some quality and spirit. What your junior brother has is what many people lack. I don't know how to deal with this matter. Misty Rain sighed and said. After that, Misty Rain told Qing Wan what Qing Emperor felt from Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun. Imperial Father is right. Because of our high birth status, we have become dependent. Mother, I will work hard in the future. When Qing Wan heard Misty Rain's words, she felt a little embarrassed. Every day Night Sorrow would study the absolute arts. He would alternate between the two absolute arts without conflicting with each other. As his soul power increased, the Great Emperor Samsara / and Great Death Annihilation / became more and more powerful. However, as time passed, the opening of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was getting closer and closer. Night Sorrow was also very confident. Although the will of nothingness hadn't evolved, the will of time and space had improved by leaps and bounds. It had entered the 7-star King Realm and entered the High King Realm. This had allowed Night Sorrow's battle strength to increase once again. If cultivating the body made Night Sorrow's strength tyrannical, and cultivating the chi of nothingness made his chi tyrannical, then the advancement of the will of time and space increased his speed. In a battle, speed was one of the most important factors to victory. It was also a life-saving method. Misty Rain also noticed Night Sorrow's improvement and immediately felt that the heavens were fair. The harder one worked, the luckier one would be. This was very suitable for Night Sorrow. After finishing another cultivation, Night Sorrow went to Misty Rain and said, Mistress, my strength has improved again. Can you not stop me? Misty Rain said, Mistress, I don't know what to say. If it's just a clone, then it's fine. But going to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion requires the original body. My original body and clone will go together. If we have to fight, then we'll cut off all means of retreat. Night Sorrow's determination was very strong. In fact, even without this restriction, he would have made this decision. This was because he had two skills. His original body and clone could use different skills at the same time. His original body could use the Death Destruction / and his clone could use the Great Emperor Reincarnation / When the two skills attacked together, the power and lethality were shocking. Night Sorrow felt that whether it was his original body or his clone, they both had the power to fight against an overlord. If they used the two skills at the same time, there was a chance they could kill an overlord. Okay, then let's gamble. This is Mistress's protective treasure. Mistress will remove the ownership. Take it. Overlord Yufei took out a shield that was shining with green light. No need. My original body and clone both have protective treasures. Master also helped me make the 9 heavy armor. I don't lack anything. Night Sorrow quickly rejected. Do you really have it? You don't have to be so polite with Mistress. Overlord Yufei looked at Night Sorrow and said, My clone has the Dragon Cauldron. My original body also uses a defensive treasure, the Time Pagoda. Night Sorrow waved his arm and the Dragon Cauldron appeared behind him. Seeing that Night Sorrow had a protective treasure, Overlord Yufei nodded and didn't say anything else. She couldn't stop Night Sorrow's belief. Night Sorrow had done everything he could. Feeling that it was about time, Night Sorrow's original body stopped cultivating and greeted Samsara Palace. You have a lot of room for improvement now. You haven't reached a bottleneck, have you? The origin of Samsara Palace appeared. It was a kind elder. I also want to continue cultivating, but there are some things that I have to do. This is my responsibility. As long as Night Sorrow is alive, I will definitely do what I promised you. Night Sorrow said. Young man, tell me what you have to do. Actually, according to your strength, you will have the capital to settle down when you cultivate to the monarch realm. With the supreme attribute and strong soul power, the world's most powerful giants can't hurt you. The weapon spirit of Samsara Palace, or rather the origin of Samsara world, said, I want to go to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. I want to see if there is a Tao in the 100 worlds of Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Night Sorrow told the origin of Samsara world the reason. Heaven and Earth Pavilion. That is the root of Shenhuang world. It is very complicated. You will be in great danger if you go there. Do you know why this heaven and earth pavilion opens every once in a while? The origin of Samsara world looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Forever, free of charge. Night Sorrow shook his head. He really didn't know about these things. Kill some and cultivate some. This is the way the origin of Shenhuang world does things. People from other worlds don't dare to go there because it will really destroy them and arrange difficulties that are hard to resist. However, you won't have a big problem. You have the body of merit, so it should have a laissez-faire attitude towards you. It won't target you. However, you have to remember that because you have the body of merit and supreme attribute, it may have a request for you. You don't have to agree because it won't directly touch you. The origin of Samsara world said. Request. Senior, this can't be. There are a lot of giants in Shenhuang world. What would it ask of me? Night Sorrow said. You don't understand. You are too young and have little experience. It's not that you have little experience. It's just that there are some things that people don't know. The body of merit is very important. Go. Strive to be the best. The origin of Samsara world said. Chapter 1309. It's my responsibility this time. I'll come back to cultivate after I'm done, Night Sorrow said. This is the power of the origin. If the origin of heaven and earth pavilion really turns against you, you'll definitely die. This power of the origin can protect your original soul. In this way you'll have a chance to reincarnate or rebuild your body. The origin of reincarnation waved its hand, and a power of the origin entered Night Sorrow's body. Thank you, Senior. Then I'll leave some flesh and blood. Because my cultivation method is special, my body is indestructible. As long as I have the power of the soul, I can rebuild my body. Night Sorrow waved his hand and cut off one of his arms. Then the energy in his body exploded and another arm grew out. Good. In this way, as long as your soul isn't destroyed, you'll never have to worry about dying. The origin of reincarnation sent out energy to wrap Night Sorrow's arm and hide it in the void. Senior, I'll leave now. I still have some time in the reincarnation palace. I'll come back to cultivate later, Night Sorrow said. Okay, this place is open to you at any time. But you have to fight for your own cultivation time. When you stand in front of the reincarnation palace and shout out how much you want, others have to give it to you. That's what you're capable of. The origin of reincarnation palace nodded. Then Night Sorrow left the reincarnation palace and took back the reincarnation token. Time accelerated by 2 years, which was equivalent to 40 years of cultivation. 3 times the consumption meant 120 years. Night Sorrow's original 600 years of cultivation time in the reincarnation palace still had 480 years left. After leaving the reincarnation palace, Night Sorrow walked toward the teleportation formation. Before he reached the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow was surrounded by people from the celestial sect. 6 or 7 of them were high-level King Realm cultivators. Kill. The people of the celestial sect started killing without a second word. This was because Ling Tian had given his disciples an order to kill Yi Shang on sight. Night Sorrow kept attacking with the Void Extreme Kill, Emperor Reincarnation / and Soul Destruction / In just a moment, these King Realm cultivators were killed by Night Sorrow. After collecting their storage rings and weapons, Yi Shang went to the transmission formation. Although there were other people from the celestial sect, Yi Shang had already gone to the transmission formation. At this time, the guards of the Samsara Palace had already unsheathed their sabers. Whoever fought in the transmission formation would be killed. The inter-realm transmission formation could not be damaged. Looking at Yi Shang's true body, Heavenly Monarch Yufei said, "The energy contained in your true body is close to that of a monarch. I cultivate my body. My original body is stronger than my clone." Night Sorrow nodded. Then Night Sorrow took out the Samsara. He wanted to upgrade the Samsara. Although it was a King Realm weapon, there was still a lot of room for improvement. In 4 days, Night Sorrow completed the upgrade of the Samsara and made it a top King Realm weapon. After getting used to the effect of the Samsara, Night Sorrow felt that it was enough. Then, Night Sorrow decided to go home and spend some time with his family. After resting for a month, Night Sorrow returned to the 9 floors. He planned to go out because the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was about to open. Before Night Sorrow left, Tang Bo arrived. He came to inform Night Sorrow that the Heaven and Earth Pavilion would open in half a month. Night Sorrow decided to leave. "Night Sorrow, can't you not go?" Misty Rain asked. "Don't worry, mistress. There won't be any problems. I have some backup plans," Night Sorrow said. "Alright then, let's go. Safety is the most important thing." Remember, we have time. It doesn't matter if we don't get it, Misty Rain said. Then, Night Sorrow left and teleported to the world of Samsara with Tang Bo. This time, Night Sorrow didn't bring anyone with him. He didn't bring Summer City or Aish Qilin. Tang Bo brought his guards. When the people of the Celestial Sect saw Night Sorrow, they didn't do anything because Tang Bo's guards were monarchs. Vian and Night Sorrow and the others teleported from Samsara City to Shenhuang City through the teleportation formation. At this time, Shenhuang City was very lively because a grand event of the Shenhuang Great World was about to take place. The top forces of the Shenhuang Great World all sent people to participate. A large number of cultivators from the surrounding worlds also came. Night Sorrow went to Tang Bo's mansion. Tang Bo and the others also wanted to participate because they also wanted to fight. For the people of the Shenhuang Great World, entering the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was an opportunity. Although there was a possibility of death, they still had to fight. All the cultivators had this opportunity. Tang Yi and Tang Bo went, but Tang Xin didn't because he was a monarch. There was no need for him to fight. However, even if acquaintances went in, they couldn't form a team in the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. After entering, they would be swept away by the energy of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. It was hard to say which world they would enter or where they would land. Space magic treasures couldn't carry lives. Even the origin of Samsara could detect it. That was to say, entering the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth depended on one's own ability. For Night Sorrow, this was his favorite mode. Most of the time he flew alone. It was more casual and he didn't have to worry about anything. There was no information to check in the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth, nor any experience to learn from. Every time someone went in, it was different. It was full of unknowns and challenges. Night Sorrow didn't feel afraid. Instead, he felt excited. Night Sorrow wanted to fight. He had a backup plan. Even if something happened to his original body, he wouldn't be doomed eternally. His soul wouldn't die and return to the world of Samsara. He could rely on that arm to regenerate his body. It just needed some time. Tang Bo and Tang Yi were a little uneasy. Night Sorrow, aren't you worried? Tang Yi looked at Night Sorrow and asked, "Why should I be worried? Since I've decided to go, I'll face it calmly. The result is the same whether I'm worried or not," Night Sorrow said. After resting for a few days, Night Sorrow and the other two set out. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was located in the south of Shenhuang City. After flying for a while, the three of them arrived at the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was a pavilion with dozens of floors. The upper half of it was in the clouds. It had an aura that suppressed everything. It was magnificent and majestic. Normally, the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth is a very small pavilion, but no one can get close to it. It only becomes like this when it's open, Tang Yi explained. At this time, Tang Jianfeng appeared in front of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth and announced some rules. He was allowed to use all kinds of magic treasures. He was allowed to bring his doppelganger with him, but the doppelganger would be killed if he went alone. Even if he hid his cultivation, he would be killed. This was an iron rule that forbade Heaven Masters from entering. Brother Yi, take care. After we go in, no one knows what will happen. We can only protect ourselves first. With so many people going in, we might run into each other. If we don't have any friendship with each other, we'll be enemies, Tang Yi said. The same goes for you too. If you think you can't do it, you can hide in the space treasure and wait until the opening time is over, Night Sorrow said. Same for Brother Yi. Tang Yi nodded. Night Sorrow shook his head. He was different. He had a reason to fight. Chapter 13:10. It was the only authentic one and the rest were all pirated copies. Tang Jianfeng then emphasized the mortality rate. Half of the people would die, and those who didn't come out after 3 months would have a 50% chance of dying. There was a chance to withdraw in the first 3 months, but after 3 months the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth would close and send them out. After everything was said, Tang Jianfeng asked all the participating cultivators to wait in front of the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth for the inspection of the Shenhuang light. In addition, they had to pay 100 Saint Spirit Stones. Regardless of whether they were qualified to enter or not, the 100 Saint Spirit Stones were the registration fee. This was a rule set by the Pavilion of Heaven and Earth a long time ago. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth needed energy to operate, and so did the Shenhuang light. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was called the Shenhuang light. 100 Saint Spirit Stones was nothing to cultivators above the Saint King realm, but there were many people, so it was still a large sum of Saint Spirit Stones. Many people came to participate, numbering in the tens of thousands. There are so many people who aren't afraid of death, Night Sorrow muttered. Everyone has different thoughts. Many people go in with the idea of the first 3 months. They will retreat when there is danger and they won't die. It's a journey of opportunity. My brother and I will go in to see the situation. If we can't handle it, we will also retreat early, Tang Yi said. Actually, many people think the same way. If they don't reach a bottleneck, go crazy, or have a lot of confidence, they won't last for more than 3 months, Tang Bo added. While the three of them were chatting, the participants walked to the square one after another. The officials of Xinhuang City collected the Saint Spirit stones one by one. Yishang and the other two also walked towards the plaza. Tang Bo didn't even need Yishang to fork out the Holy Spirit stones, directly paying the fees for the three of them. Then, the three of them went to a corner of the plaza to wait for the arrival of the mysterious yellow light. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about what would happen after entering, but he was a little nervous now. He was worried that the pavilion of heaven and earth wouldn't give him a chance. He was afraid that the Xinhuang light would reject him because no one knew how the Xinhuang light judged whether one was qualified or not. Soon, everyone paid the Saint Spirit stones and went to the square. At this time, Tang Jianfeng bowed to the pavilion of heaven and earth. As Tang Jianfeng bowed, the heaven and earth pavilion reacted. An illusory energy vortex appeared in the surroundings. Then, a golden light appeared in the sky, enveloping the entire plaza and landing on everyone standing in the plaza. Night Sorrow discovered that this golden light was seeping into his body, enveloping his head and divine sea. Night Sorrow slowly felt the characteristics of the golden light. Because his body was Bufang's true body, the golden light did not seep into his body. At this moment, almost everyone was in a state of confusion, sitting cross-legged in meditation. Night Sorrow was still standing. After looking around, he also sat down cross-legged on the ground. He did not want to stand out. After sitting down cross-legged, the golden light did not invade Night Sorrow's body. This was the tyrannical power of not leaking true body. However, the golden light was getting stronger. The intensity of the golden light in the area where Night Sorrow was far greater than in other areas. This had already attracted the attention of some people, including Tang Jianfeng. Because Night Sorrow was his old friend's disciple, Tang Jianfeng had paid more attention to him from the beginning. He knew that Night Sorrow had not lost consciousness. Night Sorrow had sat down, but he did not close his eyes. He was still awake. In addition, the sky was filled with intense golden light. It was impossible for Tang Jianfeng not to notice. Night Sorrow did not feel anything. He did not feel that the golden light was harmful. He stopped circulating the energy in his body and stopped the operation of not leaking true body. At this moment, the golden light entered Night Sorrow's body and swam around. However, when the golden light reached Night Sorrow's divine sea, it started to spin. It did not invade directly. The periphery of Night Sorrow's divine sea was also surrounded by golden light. It could even be said that the golden light was even denser than the heaven and earth pavilions. It was the light of merit. After circling Night Sorrow's body twice, the golden light retreated. However, it left a ray of light on Night Sorrow's arm. The others were still checking. Some people had a ray of golden light on their arms while others did not. Seeing this, Night Sorrow knew that he had passed. Those with golden light on their bodies should be marks. After 15 minutes, the checking was completed. Tang Jianfeng stood on the high platform of the square. Those with golden light marks can enter the heaven and earth pavilion to take the trial. Those without marks are not qualified to enter. Please leave. If you enter rashly, you will be mercilessly killed. Night Sorrow turned his head and smiled at Tang Bo and Tang Yi, who also had marks on their bodies. All three of them were qualified to participate. The cultivators who had lost their qualifications were full of regret. However, they could only leave. If they dared to step into the heaven and earth pavilion without being recognized, they would be killed. Who could resist? The heaven and earth pavilion was the manifestation of the black-yellow great world's will, and its will was the origin will of the black-yellow great world. If the origin will of a great world could kill a heaven master, then killing a monarch or a monarch was nothing. Leave they could only leave. Although they had lost 100 Saint Spirit stones, no one dared to go against the original will of the black-yellow great world. At least, no one dared to do so in the black-yellow great world. Then the doors of the heaven and earth pavilion opened. 2 doors that were hundreds of meters tall and wide opened. Inside the doors was a rich rolling energy. Behind the energy was an unknown world. Even those who had entered before did not know what it was because each time they entered it was different. There were no clues to be found, and there was no experience to talk about. You can enter now. If you don't want to continue within 3 months, you can shout to leave. The Heaven and Earth Pavilion will send you out. If you don't come out after 3 months, then everything will depend on your own ability. Everything will be up to fate. Now you can enter, Tang Jianfeng said to all the participants. If it was a small passage, it would be troublesome for thousands of people to enter. However, the doors of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion were big enough. Therefore, it would not take too much time for everyone to enter. Night Sorrow looked at the people who entered. In an instant, they were wrapped in energy and disappeared before everyone's eyes. No one could see what was going on. Brother Yi, you can leave within 3 months. Remember to be careful. I will leave first. Tang Bo cupped his hands at Night Sorrow. Then his body flashed and he entered the rolling energy. The rolling energy was very terrifying. However, the golden light on the people who entered worked. It turned into a protective shield to block the attack of the terrifying energy. Night Sorrow estimated that the energy could definitely crush king and sovereign. In other words, without the protective golden light, no one could enter. Once they entered, they would be killed. Tangy nodded at Night Sorrow. Then, her body flashed and she also entered the rolling energy of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Night Sorrow held Samsara tightly behind him. Then he stomped his feet and flew toward the door of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The moment Night Sorrow's body approached the rolling energy, the golden light on his arm turned into a protective golden light and blocked the attack of the energy. The energy was biting cold and violent. If it was not for the protective golden light, Night Sorrow felt that he would not be able to withstand it. Because he had comprehended the space-time willpower, Night Sorrow felt that outside the protective golden light, space-time was constantly changing. The 10th update has arrived. Thank you to the Great Demon King and 4 for your support. Chapter 13:11. The space-time transition was like a teleportation array. After a while, the golden light that wrapped around Night Sorrow dissipated and turned back into a golden light that wrapped around Night Sorrow's arm. After Yi Shang steadied himself, he discovered that he was in a world with verdant hills and clear waters. However, Yi Shang didn't relax because everything was filled with unknowns. Who knew if some powerful opponent would suddenly appear? He could not be afraid, but he had to always be respectful of the unknown. Only when one was alive could one do things. Caution was one of the most important factors in life. Many geniuses had fallen because of recklessness and carelessness on their path. Yi Shang activated the 9-region origin pearl and began to investigate. His soul power was already comparable to a monarch's. With the help of the 9-region origin pearl, his probing ability should be above a monarch's and below a titan's. Night Sorrow had thought about refining the soul cultivation liquid, but he did not take the risk. His soul power could support his cultivation and use his secret techniques. After all, the energy in his body was still at the peak of the 7-star king level. If he was injured by the soul cultivation liquid, it would not be worth it. After activating his soul power, everything within 1,000 miles was within his probing range. No danger could escape his probing. During his probing, Night Sorrow flew forward. He had not come to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion to sightsee. He had come to find Ming Dao. In a low-level space, the possibility of Ming Dao's existence was lower, but there were other natural treasures. No one knew the exact situation inside the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, but the general layout was clear. Night Sorrow knew that when he first entered, it was a low-level world. The first level was filled with countless low-level small spaces. They could not even be called worlds. Only when certain conditions were met would one enter the next level. This condition was hard to say. It could be a spatial tunnel or a teleportation tunnel. It could also be that there were only a certain number of people left in and out of the space, such as half or even less. After advancing for half a day, Night Sorrow did not find any opponents. He had collected some materials, but they were all low-level. The scenery in this space was good, but the energy was not dense enough. It could not nurture high-level natural treasures. The time inside the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was the same as outside. When evening came, the sky darkened. Night Sorrow took out his animal skin tent and planned to rest. Night Sorrow knew that entering the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was not something that could be done in a day or two. He had to settle down and take it one step at a time. Night Sorrow had just finished setting up his tent when 2 cultivators entered Night Sorrow's probing range. 2 7-star king. It was already too late for Night Sorrow to dodge. The opponent's flying speed was extremely fast, and the gap between their detect was useless. In other words, the opponent's flying speed instantly surpassed the distance that Night Sorrow could detect. Yi Shuang waited to see what the two of them were up to. If they were just passing by, then they would mind their own business. But if they wanted to kill, he really didn't care about two 7-star sovereign kings. Moments later, the two 7-star sovereigns arrived near Yishan. "Hand over your storage rings, leave your weapons and get lost," the man with the heavy sword on his back growled at Night Sorrow. "We're all here to look for opportunities. There's no need to be so aggressive. There's no enmity between us," said Yishang. He didn't want to kill more people if he could. "Why are you talking so much nonsense? Pay to avoid disaster or die. Make your choice." The other man drew his battle sword. "I didn't want to kill, but you are courting death." Die. Night Sorrow's energy surged. His doppelganger appeared. It was the man who spoke after the death destruction slash. While the doppelganger attacked, Night Sorrow used the Great Emperor Samsara slash to attack the other person. He did not want to waste time probing. He had to maintain his peak condition here. Unnecessary consumption was to be avoided. As the black and purple halos rippled, the two 7-star king were enveloped. They lost the ability to resist and dodge. One man and one woman. The two unlucky fellows fell. They were bleeding. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. "I didn't want to kill, but you are courting death." Night Sorrow's doppelganger merged with his original body. He took the two storage rings and weapons. Then he took the tent and moved to another place. Night Sorrow started to set up camp in another place. After making a pot of tea, Night Sorrow pondered. He knew that he was not the only one in this space. There were others. As for why there were companions, he knew it was not strange. Many cultivators in the black-yellow great world knew each other. It was normal to have friends. Maybe it was a personal friendship. Maybe it was an alliance between sections. Maybe it was a loose cultivator who was afraid of the core disciples of big sects and was willing to follow behind them. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow continued his exploration. With the will of time and space, Night Sorrow's flying speed was very fast. He did not cause too much energy fluctuation. As Night Sorrow's flying speed was fast, his exploration efficiency was high. If there were materials for alchemy and refining, Night Sorrow would collect them. On the afternoon of the second day, Night Sorrow faced another battle. It was also a 7-star king. Night Sorrow did not evade. He still walked his own path. Night Sorrow did not fight, but it did not mean that others would not fight. This 7-star king started to chase after Night Sorrow. He was very fast. Night Sorrow could not get rid of him even if he did not speed up. Exhaling, Night Sorrow stopped. He turned around and looked at the cultivator who had caught up with him. "Do you have to fight?" The black-robed man did not say anything. He attacked with his sword. In his eyes, Night Sorrow was just a lucky cultivator who had a high cultivation level at a young age. Most people had high cultivation levels but low abilities and poor fighting strength. Seeing this man attack, Night Sorrow was a little angry. He did not want to fight, but the other party thought that he was easy to bully. "Then you can die." Yishang waved his hand and directly used the Void Extreme Kill. Following the explosion of the purple halo, half of the man's sword was instantly annihilated. His body was also blasted back. The will of time and space burst forth. Night Sorrow charged forward and followed up with Heavenly Wasteland Kill. Void Extreme Kill and Heavenly Wasteland Kill were mystic skills. Although they were not absolute arts, they were still very powerful. The main reason was that Night Sorrow's mystic skills were based on the highest and highest attributes. They were not something that ordinary people could block. Time was affected. The black-robed man's block was half a beat slower. Night Sorrow's Samsara directly attacked the man's chest. Following the burst of energy from Samsara, the black-robed man's life force was taken away by Night Sorrow's time acceleration. At the same time, Samsara also released purple energy that rushed into his spirit sea. The Samsara stone was a strange stone in the world. It had a mysterious energy that could attack the soul. While the man was in a daze, Night Sorrow's Samsara shook and attacked the man's spirit sea. Chapter 13:12. After killing the man in black, Night Sorrow felt that he needed to change his strategy. He could not avoid fighting because even if he did not want to kill, others would treat him as a fat sheep. Night Sorrow decided to kill. There was no need to be polite because there were no kind people here. They all saw their opponents as resources and materials. After collecting the storage ring of the man in black, Night Sorrow continued forward. 4 other cultivators, killing their opponents would give them cultivation resources, but Night Sorrow did not care about these people's cultivation resources. He had a lot of resources. After going to the Limitless Soul region, and the Ice Dragon realm, Night Sorrow had a lot of resources. In terms of temperament, Night Sorrow did not like to be killed indiscriminately, but as he explored, battles happened frequently. However, no one was a threat to Night Sorrow because they were not strong enough. Now, whether it was Night Sorrow's original body or his doppelganger, they were all comparable to monarchs. There were too few monarchs here. They were not willing to take the risk. They lacked enlightenment, not resources. It was not that they did not lack resources, but that it was not worth risking their lives. Night Sorrow was not afraid of monarchs, let alone some kings. If someone approached him with bad intentions, Night Sorrow would kill without saying anything. As he fought, Night Sorrow felt that his state of mind was much better. This made him understand another principle. It was important to cultivate one's heart and morals, but he could not suppress himself too much. That was not in line with the heavens. He just had to be himself and let nature take its course. Everyone's state of mind was different at different times. Sometimes one needed to be steady and sometimes one needed to be sharp. After changing his state of mind, Night Sorrow did not rest. He directly patrolled the space world and killed anyone who approached him. 6 days. In 6 days, Night Sorrow had pretty much finished exploring this small spatial world. He had also killed quite a few people. Among them, there were 2 smart fellows who felt that they were no match for Night Sorrow when he didn't use any of his ultimate techniques. They immediately called out and left the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Of course, Night Sorrow didn't use his ultimate skill, but the opponent's strength was also one of the main reasons. Night Sorrow didn't know what the requirements for entering the next world were, but that was all he could do for now. He hadn't found a spatial tunnel, a teleportation circle, or an energy channel, so he could only wait. Night Sorrow guessed that there was a limit to the number of people. When the number of people reached a certain level, they would enter the next space. As for how many people had squeezed into this space, Night Sorrow wasn't sure. However, he knew that even if he didn't meet them, he didn't mind wasting time. After 3 months, some people would leave for fear of death. If they didn't leave, it would be a chaotic battle. Whoever met them would be killed. There was no hurry. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry at all. He was just waiting. Night Sorrow was constantly on the move every day. Whoever attacked him, whoever was hostile, he would kill them. Half a month later, when Yi Shang was about to take a break, he returned to his original state. The golden light that wrapped around his arm changed again. It protected Yi Shang's body and began to pull him into the void. Night Sorrow didn't resist. He knew that he had passed the first round of tests and was about to enter the next world. The golden light wrapped around Night Sorrow and entered the void. The void was full of overbearing and abnormal energy. However, in just a moment, Night Sorrow entered a new space. Another new challenge. Looking at the golden light that returned to his arm, Night Sorrow tidied up his robe, carried samsara, and began to fly. Night Sorrow didn't know what was going on in this space, but there was nothing wrong with being careful. Others had a way out, but he didn't. Because if others felt that they couldn't take it, they could just shout out and withdraw. However, he wanted to fight to the end. The higher the level, the greater the chance of obtaining the enlightened Tao. Genuine first hair Night Sorrow flew in the space, collecting resources and killing demonic beasts that blocked his way. Although the possibility of the enlightened Tao in this space wasn't high, he still wanted to look for it. At this moment, Ling Tian knew that Night Sorrow had left. He was thinking about what to do. Ling Tian was very clear about what Night Sorrow was doing in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. However, he couldn't interfere now. After thinking about it, he arranged for Elder Jia to bring the giant puppet to wait in the profound yellow world. As long as Night Sorrow appeared, they would kill him at all costs. Ling Tian was very clear that Night Sorrow was a threat, a huge threat. Furthermore, he knew that if Night Sorrow obtained the enlightened Tao and the Qing Emperor recovered, then a huge disaster would come for him. The Qing Emperor was very powerful. Last time, Ling Tian used the giant puppet, the other 3 elders, and Zhan Taiyang to injure the Qing Emperor severely. If the Qing Emperor recovered, together with Sandalwood and Misty Rain, the Qing Emperor's dynasty would be the most powerful force in the world of samsara. In addition, the Red Emperor and Datura were allies of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. As for the Celestial Sect, there were some trump cards that he couldn't use. Therefore, killing Night Sorrow was the best way. After making some arrangements, Ling Tian went to the Black Fiend Valley and the Martial God Palace. He told them about the current situation. He meant that since Night Sorrow wasn't there, the Qing Emperor's dynasty's organization would be less strict and they could start a war. The Black Fiend Valley and the Martial God Palace both wanted to attack the Qing Emperor's dynasty, but they felt that they weren't strong enough. In the end, Ling Tian said that the three forces could go to the Burning Sky Tower and ask them to join the siege on the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Then the three of them went to the Burning Sky Tower. After promising a lot of benefits, the Burning Sky Tower's owner agreed to join forces. The four forces joined forces and pressed on the Qing Emperor's dynasty again. After hearing the news, the Qing Emperor's dynasty held a meeting. In this case, the Qing Emperor's dynasty could only fight because there was no way to retreat. Retreat meant that they would fall. The Ninth Heaven Army, the Green Scale Army, and the Green Phoenix Army were all ready for war. After hearing the news, the Dark Abyss Army, the Bloodthirsty Army, and the reorganized Devil Blood Army also joined the battle. The Red Emperor didn't hesitate and sent the Skyheart Army and the Chiwa Army to fight. The three forces in the eastern district of the world of Samsara set up their armies and were ready to fight the outsiders. The Red Emperor's empire sent messengers to the Qing Emperor's dynasty to ask for Knight Sorrow's opinion on the current situation. After realizing that Knight Sorrow wasn't around, everyone felt that they could only fight on their own. This was a war of attrition. They wanted to see who would give in first and who would give in first. Misty Rain was currently in charge of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. She could only make arrangements for the war step by step. Mother, they probably know that junior brother isn't around. Otherwise they wouldn't dare to start a war, the Green Phoenix said. We don't know when the Heaven and Earth Pavilion will open. It's hard to say when Knight Sorrow will come back. When he's around, the Qing Emperor's dynasty has the advantage. Now that he's not around, we have to stabilize the situation. Xuanji, you used to be Knight Sorrow's assistant. If Knight Sorrow was here, how would he deal with the current situation? Misty Rain looked at Jun Xuanji. She had heard about him before. Second update. Chapter 13:13. The Commander-in-Chief won't fight the enemy head-on. It's not that he can't win, but he doesn't want to see any losses. If the enemy is stronger than us, we have to play to our strengths and avoid their weaknesses, Jun Xuanji said. That's right. Knight Sorrow isn't here, so we have to gather everyone and make the most suitable decision. Qing Wan, go to the Nine Heaven Army and call Nu Lin and the other generals here, Misty Rain said. After the generals and generals of the Qing Emperor's Imperial Army were gathered, Misty Rain asked Jun Xuanji to share his thoughts. Empress, this isn't appropriate. I'm just an informant under Nine Chong Pavilion's Commander-in-Chief Knight Sorrow, Jun Xuanji said. It's fine. We have to win now. Before Knight Sorrow returns, we have to stabilize the situation, Misty Rain said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, yes, we need to stabilize the situation. We can't afford to lose too much. Do you have any good ideas? Qing Wan said. Alright, I'll say it. War is nothing more than a battle of wits and courage. The Commander-in-Chief won't fight the enemy head-on. He will choose to use his strongest force to take down a small portion of the enemy's army. When the army moves, the enemy will follow our rhythm, Jun Xuanji said. That's a good idea. What are the details? Nu Lin asked. Let's move and make the enemy tired. If they split up, we'll take down the smallest portion. Also, we'll find a way to make them disunited and unstable internally. The Empress can send assassins into their territory to assassinate them. This way they will be worried about their rear. Their attack power will be reduced and they will have a lack of coordination, Jun Xuanji said. Xuanji's idea is good. You all know what I mean. Then we'll study the strategy according to this idea. Misty Rain set the tone. Then this subordinate will arrange for the Shadow Guards to attack and infiltrate their internal areas to assassinate them. Summer City, who had been standing silently at the side, spoke up. That won't do. If all of them are attacked, they will still act in unison. Their selfishness won't erupt and they won't cause disharmony. If they want to capture a force and kill it, the attacked party will become restless. As for the other three, it's very likely that they won't care about it, Jun Xuanji said. Summer City, you're good at fighting and killing, but you're too low level when it comes to scheming. Profound Mysteries Realm, which side do you think we should attack? Misty Rain asked Jun Xuanji. The Celestial Sect is useless and they're already mortal enemies. Whether you attack or not, the situation will be the same. The Martial God's Palace is further away, and it's not suitable. We can choose Black Fiend Valley and Burning Sky Tower. Aren't these two forces despicable? Then we'll capture one of them and teach them a lesson. Let them know that they have to pay the price for being a lackey. Misty Rain nodded. After discussing with everyone, they decided to attack Black Fiend Valley. The Black Fiend Valley and the Qing Emperor's dynasty already had a grudge against each other. Dealing with the Blackfiend Valley was a must. Furthermore, it would also serve as a deterrent to Burning Sky Tower. After the decision was made, Summer City went to carry it out. Misty Rain had the three legions act independently. They also had to communicate with each other and capture each other's forces. After everyone went to carry out the order, Misty Rain looked at Jun Xuanji. The Nine Domains world is really full of talents. With your strategy, it's really a waste that Night Sorrow put you in charge of intelligence. In the past, Xuanji was in charge of the development of the Xuanji realm, so he did more research on scheming and tactics. Studying intelligence in the 9 grand floors is also something I like. Empress, there's another problem. Since Ling Tian dares to ally with other forces to fight against our legions, it's very likely that he knows that Commander Night Sorrow has gone to the Xuanhuan Great World. I'm worried that he will send people to kill Commander Night Sorrow, Jun Xuanji said. Misty Rain nodded. She understood that Night Sorrow had gone to find Ming Dao. Ling Tian definitely didn't want Ming Dao to go to the Qing Emperor's dynasty. If the Qing Emperor was restored, it would definitely be a nightmare for the Celestial Sect. After thinking about it and reassuring Jun Xuanji, Misty Rain left the 9 grand floors and directly teleported to the Dark Abyss. She wanted to see Datura Datura. Datura knew about Misty Rain's arrival. He came out to receive her and brought Misty Rain to the guest house. Then the two began to talk. They mainly talked about the current situation. Misty Rain told him about the Qing Emperor's dynasty's arrangements. I can't help but admire you. Apart from Night Sorrow, your Qing Emperor's dynasty still has amazing talents. Here is the strategic deployment that I just wrote. It's almost the same as what Misty Rain said. Datura took out the strategic deployment she had written and handed it to Misty Rain. I originally planned to send someone to deliver it to the Qing Emperor's dynasty, but it seems there's no need for that. This is the strategy that Night Sorrow's assistant came up with. It's almost the same as what the Overlord came up with. It's enough to show that there's no problem with it, Misty Rain said after looking at Datura's strategy. No problem. Misty Rain came because you don't have enough manpower? Alright, I'll send a squad of Bloodstrike guards over later. They'll work on your side for now, Datura said. It's not like that. Currently, the Qing Emperor's dynasty is very stable. I'm worried about Night Sorrow. The Qing Emperor's injuries are very serious. He needs Ming Dao and White Tiger's blood. White Tiger's blood aside, Night Sorrow went to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion to look for Ming Dao. Ling Tian might already know about this, so I'm worried about Night Sorrow's safety. I'm worried that he'll kill him. Misty Rain explained her intentions. If Misty Rain can come today, then the Qing Emperor should have told him about my relationship with Night Sorrow. The Qing Emperor's dynasty doesn't need to care about this. I'll arrange it and send people to the Xuanhuan Great World to wait for Night Sorrow. As long as Night Sorrow comes out, I'll personally go and pick him up. Datura was a smart woman. Misty Rain's words and attitude made her understand that Misty Rain knew about her relationship with Night Sorrow. After hearing Datura's words, Misty Rain nodded. Datura's words reassured her. Here I'd like to thank you, Your Excellency. Misty Rain cupped her hands to Datura. She was going to leave. Since she had finished her business, she had to go back and take charge. It's nothing. Night Sorrow's business is my business, Datura's business. If you have any inconvenience, just send me a message. We, the Eastern District of the world of Samsara, must win this war. Night Sorrow flew in the space world every day to look for materials. He would not kill people just because there was a limit on the number of people who could enter the next level. That was not what a gentleman would do. He was not very worried about whether he could enter the next level or not. When the 3 months were up, some people would naturally leave. Those who didn't leave naturally had a strong desire to kill. Yishang didn't need to show any killing intent, they would take the initiative to kill. Therefore Yishang didn't feel any pressure. Night Sorrow did not let go of the low-level materials. Many elixirs needed supplementary materials. It was good to have more materials. Chapter 13-14. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation battles happened from time to time because Night Sorrow was not alone here. Many people participated in the trial of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. There were about 15,000 to 60,000 people. Some of them were disqualified, but there were still about 10,000 people who entered. After entering the space of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, there would be many people in one space. It was just that the space was big, so they did not meet each other. However, as they explored and looked for opportunities, the chances of them meeting each other increased. Battles were unavoidable. Night Sorrow was very calm. He once thought about exploring separately with his original body and avatar. If there was a battle, he could use the teleportation formation disc. However, he felt that the risk was too high. If he encountered an undefeatable danger, he might not be able to teleport in time. With his original body and avatar together, although the chances were much lower, it was safer. On the first day that Night Sorrow entered this world, he met a strong opponent. It was a young man. He was also with his original body and avatar. His combat power was not as strong as Night Sorrow's, but he had a unique skill that made him invisible at any time. Night Sorrow knew that it was a talent of the dark element. However, Night Sorrow's Space Whirling Dragon Kill and Time Oscillation Wave could both attack the dark space. In other words, if Night Sorrow wanted to, he could attack the turbulence in space. After fighting for 15 minutes, the man retreated a distance because he was no match for Night Sorrow. In fact, if he did not retreat, Night Sorrow would have used his unique skill. Talent. Night Sorrow knew that this man's talent was very strong. It was a talent of the dark and space elements. My name is Junhua. You are very strong. I admire you. Are you interested in forming a team? Junhua looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Sorry, I'm not used to forming teams. Night Sorrow shook his head. Okay, you also have the ability to not form a team. I'm Junhua from Mount Wuling. After you go out, you can find me at Mount Wuling. I'll treat you to good wine. Junhua cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. Look at the section of the edition of. Junhua was well known in the Black-Yellow Great World. He was the disciple of the Master of the Wuling Mountain. The Master of the Wuling Mountain was very powerful. He was not afraid of anyone at the same level as him in a head-on fight. His disciple, Junhua, made a name for himself at a young age. He had few rivals at the same level as him. In less than 600 years he had become a king. I'm Night Sorrow of the Qing Emperor's dynasty in the world of Samsara. I'm looking forward to your visit at any time. Night Sorrow cupped one hand in the other before his chest. Junhua wasn't the kind of person to pester, so Night Sorrow didn't dislike it. After Junhua left, Night Sorrow continued his tea hunting trip. Night Sorrow also had a small harvest. He obtained a set of high-level concentric crystals, which were of the same level as the ones he and Datura used. Now Night Sorrow and Datura couldn't use the concentric crystals. The Pavilion of Heaven and Earth was the core origin of the Black-Yellow Great World. It had the ability to suppress everything in the Black-Yellow Great World. Therefore, the concentric crystals were ineffective. Although they couldn't use the concentric crystals, it didn't mean they couldn't. Datura went to the Fengtian Palace to ask about Night Sorrow's current situation. She was also worried about Night Sorrow. After knowing that Night Sorrow was fine, she was relieved. In addition, Datura told Night Sorrow that her doppelganger had been waiting for Night Sorrow in the Black-Yellow world. She also told Night Sorrow about the current situation in the world of Samsara. After knowing that the celestial sect was on the move again, Night Sorrow was very angry. This Ling Tian was too despicable. He was simply shameless and pestered him endlessly. He was like a scoundrel in the marketplace. After hearing Datura talk about the battle strategy of the Qing Emperor's dynasty, Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. Angry Qilin, Blue Luan, and Blue Qilin didn't use such a battle strategy. He didn't know who came up with this battle strategy. I heard that Misty Rain hired a female military advisor for the Qing Emperor's dynasty. She came from your 9 domains world. Datura told Night Sorrow what she knew. Jun Xuanji. Night Sorrow immediately understood. Only Jun Xuanji came from the 9 domains world and had such an ability. Night Sorrow knew about Jun Xuanji's talent. His talent for cultivation was very good, but his strongest aspect was his ability to manage and strategize. With Jun Xuanji's advice, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. The Qing Emperor's dynasty charged and broke through the enemy lines. With the 9 Heavens army, there wouldn't be any problems. Now that he had Jun Xuanji as the brains, he could stabilize the situation. With his heart at ease, Night Sorrow continued to investigate. Datura's original body also returned to the world of Samsara. Now was a time of trouble, so he had to be careful. Night Sorrow also told Datura that he had left a message crystal between her and the Red Emperor. If someone crushed it, it would mean that they were working together to kill the other party's overlord. Datura nodded. Even if she didn't care about others, she still had to give Night Sorrow face. When it was time to act, she would act. Night Sorrow understood that the other party knew that he wasn't in the Qing Emperor's dynasty and thought that he could gain the upper hand in the battle. In addition, he felt that the other party might really be waiting for him. Whether he could reach the heavenly law or not, the other party didn't want to give the Qing Emperor a chance to recover. Knight Sorrow's life was a little boring as he continued to investigate. However, he wasn't frustrated. After cultivating to this level, his state of mind had already matured. On the 16th day, Knight Sorrow's scene changed again. In other words, he changed space and entered the 3rd floor. Knight Sorrow began a new round of investigation and battle. He only had one belief, and that was that no matter what he gained in each space, he had to rush to the top. This was because the higher the floor, the higher the possibility of obtaining high-grade treasures. Perhaps he couldn't obtain the heavenly law, but obtaining other treasures that could alleviate the Qing Emperor's situation was also possible. After investigating for 1,000 miles, Knight Sorrow encountered trouble. It was an Icefire two-headed dragon, a monarch-level Icefire two-headed dragon. The two-headed Icefire WRM's body flashed as it charged towards Knight Sorrow. Although it was huge, it didn't affect the WRM's speed. It was extremely fast as it charged towards Knight Sorrow. Originally, Knight Sorrow wanted to dodge. However, this two-headed Icefire WRM's aura was very strong. This made Knight Sorrow not want to run. If you want to kill me, I'll fight with you. The two-headed Icefire WRM was also a material. Since it was delivered to his door, he had to collect it. Of course, whether he had the ability to collect it or not was another matter. Knight Sorrow's body flashed. His doppelganger appeared and rushed towards the two-headed Icefire WRM with his original body. His target was the red head on the left side of the two-headed Icefire WRM. He didn't plan to fight separately. He wanted to use all his strength to destroy one of the heads of the two-headed Icefire WRM. That way, the two-headed Icefire WRM's combat power and strength would be halved. Spatial Rend. Two spatial rends slashed towards the other head of the two-headed Icefire WRM. Knight Sorrow's original body used the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash. The reincarnation slashed out with a purple halo. His doppelganger's Great Death Obliteration Slash followed closely behind. The two-headed Icefire WRM's red head was enveloped by the purple halo. It began to struggle. Having a huge body was an advantage. When it swayed, the two-headed Icefire WRM shook off the purple halo's influence. It opened its mouth and bit Knight Sorrow's reincarnation. However, Knight Sorrow's doppelganger's Great Death Obliteration Slash arrived. The black halo once again enveloped the two-headed Icefire WRM. Next, the spatial rend pierced towards its head. You're courting death. I'll take your Icefire WRM core. With a low roar, Knight Sorrow's original body's reincarnation attacked again. Chapter 13-15. With Sky Splitter in front and Samsara behind, Samsara pierced through the gap in the two-headed flood dragon's mouth and shattered its spirit sea. After shattering the divine sea within the Icefire two-headed WRM's fire attribute head, Knight Sorrow's true body and avatar rapidly retreated. As the Icefire two-headed WRM's tail lashed over, its other head also spewed out ice energy, freezing space. The frozen space extended towards Knight Sorrow. After retreating for some distance, the two-headed Icefire flood dragon attacked again. However, wherever its body passed, the frozen space would follow. This was a large-scale attack. It had been careless at the beginning and now it was cautious. It directly used its cultivation and large-scale attacks to fight Knight Sorrow. Do you think I don't have a way? I'll break it. Knight Sorrow and his doppelganger activated their protective treasures at the same time. The Pagoda of Time and Dragon Cauldron instantly enlarged. The Pagoda of Time and Dragon Cauldron blocked the two-headed Icefire flood dragon's path, and the Dragon Cauldron smashed towards the two-headed Icefire flood dragon. With a boom, the frozen space shattered. The Dragon Cauldron smashed it. Knight Sorrow and his doppelganger charged forward again, using their two ultimate techniques again. Without any suspense, the two-headed Icefire flood dragon's left head, which was already heavily injured, was also bombarded to the point of collapsing. Knight Sorrow knew that his easy victory was partly due to luck. The two-headed Icefire flood dragon had been careless and did not use its Icefire domain. If that was the case, the battle would be difficult. It would not be so easy. The two-headed Icefire flood dragon's attributes restrained each other, but when combined, it was still very powerful. When the two-headed Icefire flood dragon discovered that Knight Sorrow was just a 7-star king, it did not pay attention to him. By the time it wanted to, it was already too late. After the firehead was destroyed, it could no longer use its ultimate technique. Knight Sorrow stepped forward and waved Samsara, dissecting the two-headed Icefire flood dragon's corpse. A monarch rank monster naturally produced monarch rank materials, and they were very valuable. Night Sorrow first found the Icefire Flood Dragon's core at the joint between the two heads of the Icefire Flood Dragon. The Icefire Flood Dragon core was the most precious material in the body of the two-headed Icefire Flood Dragon. It could be used to refine pills and forge artifacts. It contained a very powerful energy. King could extract the energy from it to cultivate with twice the result with half the effort. Night Sorrow felt that this treasure was very suitable for Wu Lingfei to cultivate. Because Wu Lingfei's ice element had evolved to the life element, this Icefire Dragon core was very suitable for her to cultivate. Wu Lingfei had reached the pinnacle of the Saint King realm a long time ago. She had found a place where life elemental intent manifested in the ocean wave realm. She had begun to cultivate and comprehend intent. Unknowingly, the cultivation level of the 9 regions world continued to rise. Shueshi was the same. She comprehended the wind attribute willpower in a secret place in the profound heaven world. It wasn't that Night Sorrow didn't want to help them, but they felt that they had to walk their own path. If they really couldn't do it, it wouldn't be too late for Night Sorrow to help them. Night Sorrow knew that if he waited a little longer, a new batch of King Realm would appear in the 9 regions world. It was just that he didn't know how long it would take. Shaking his head to get rid of his thoughts, Night Sorrow collected the body of the two-headed Icefire Flood Dragon. The bones and skin of the monarch-grade Flood Dragon were both treasures for forging artifacts. They could be used to forge high-grade King artifacts. After taking care of the two-headed Icefire Flood Dragon, Night Sorrow continued to explore. He knew that the danger level was much higher than the previous 2 spaces. He wanted to collect more high-grade materials. As they moved forward, Yishang saw Junhua by accident. Yishang paid attention to it and let her pass. He didn't think that he would meet someone he knew. Perhaps this was just a coincidence. The chances of them advancing at the same time and entering the next level in the same spatial world were not high. Junhua also saw Night Sorrow. He knew that with Night Sorrow's strength, it was very likely that he would obtain a great harvest. If he didn't, it would be because Night Sorrow was from a different world and was rejected by the Xuanhuan Great World. He would face difficulties that others couldn't. The battle became more and more intense. Fortunately, Night Sorrow had grown up in battle. He was not afraid of battle. 2 months later, Night Sorrow had successfully advanced 12 times. In other words, he had reached the 13th level. After entering the 13th level, Night Sorrow found that the difficulty was much higher. This was because king-grade demonic beasts had appeared. Once a battle broke out, it would be a bloody battle that would continue until both sides died. Night Sorrow knew that if he wasn't a high-grade king, he wouldn't be able to survive here. Once he entered, he would have to announce his withdrawal. However, after calculating the time, 3 months were almost up. Next would be the killing mode. What was left was a fight to the death. It was a true fight to the death. This was because there was no chance of reincarnation even if one died. One had to know that everyone had entered with their original body. Even if their clone was outside, if the original body died, the clone would remain alive. Without the comprehension of the realm, they couldn't marry or have children. It could be said that they were just struggling at death's door. Night Sorrow continued to explore this space with relatively dense energy. If he could avoid a battle, he would naturally avoid it. However, he found that all the demonic beasts here had powerful detection abilities. They would detect him in advance. Along the way he killed and fought. When he met a cultivator, no one would be polite. Survival of the fittest. No one would blame the heavens or blame others for their death. On the 3rd day after Night Sorrow entered the 13th level, a gong sounded in the spatial world. The 3-month trial period was up. If he persisted, there would be no chance to withdraw. He would either die or be sent out when the Heaven and Earth Pavilion closed. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate and continued to explore the space. What came next was the main event. It was the time to struggle and reap great rewards. Night Sorrow knew that reaching the 13th level in 3 months was very fast. However, he was still far from it. When he was outside the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, he saw that there were dozens of levels. Now, he had only walked a dozen or so. He remembered that Tang Bo and the others had said that someone had seen a Heavenly Dao artifact on the last level. That meant that someone had reached the very top. Only at the very top could one find diluted rare treasures. The Heavenly Dao was definitely a diluted rare treasure. After exploring for a few days, Night Sorrow saw a spatial tunnel. He decided to enter it. This was the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. The spatial tunnel was connected to the inner space of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. When he had arrived at the 13th level, he had been brought in by the mysterious golden light. According to Ran Zhao's law, spatial tunnels couldn't lead to the lower level, so it naturally led to the upper level. After passing through the tunnel, he arrived at another space. However, Night Sorrow felt that there was something wrong with this space. There was an oppressive, baleful aura that made him feel vexed. After being affected, Night Sorrow realized that his emotions had changed, and he knew what was going on. He had to protect his divine sea. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow used his soul power to activate his light of virtue to protect his divine sea. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Actually, the most convenient way to protect his divine sea was to use the 9 domain sources to protect his divine sea. However, Night Sorrow didn't want to do that. The 9 domain sources were supreme elemental sources. If they were activated at a high intensity, it would alert the Heaven and Earth Pavilion's artifact spirit. The light of virtue didn't have this drawback. As he advanced, Night Sorrow unexpectedly saw a lifelike skeleton. It was a middle-aged man. He seemed to be meditating, but he had lost all signs of life. Chapter 13:16. Night Sorrow took a closer look and realized that the man's body looked fine on the outside, but his bones and veins were gold with a hint of black. They had been corroded by a strong poison. Night Sorrow knew that this skeleton didn't die recently. It should be someone from another era. Night Sorrow took the storage ring that the man was wearing. Then he waved his arm and created a big hole in the ground. He moved the man's corpse into the hole and buried it. Night Sorrow then opened the storage ring. Look at the original chapter and section of the chapter. The moment Night Sorrow opened the storage ring, a man appeared. His face was the same as the face of the corpse. Although I've cultivated my body, I'm not strong enough to defend myself against my opponent's absolute poison. There are only 2 ways to deal with it. One is to cultivate the legendary Myriad Tao Tome, and the other is to understand the way. The Myriad Tao Tome is the human sovereign's ultimate skill. Back then, the human sovereign fought with his opponent for the divine artifact of the heavenly path, and its whereabouts are unknown. Therefore, I can only look forward to understanding the way, but unfortunately the heavens are not helping me. The man raised his head and looked at the void as he muttered to himself. Night Sorrow was shocked. The Myriad Tao Tome was the ultimate skill of the human sovereign. Then, its appearance in the 9 regions world must be related to the heavenly artifact, the Haoying Godly Pagoda. I've already foreseen my demise, but I still have regrets in my heart. I have a wife and I'm very worried about her. I obtained the Thunder Core Iron by chance, and its attribute is suitable for my wife. I originally planned to go out and find a heavenly artificer to give her a weapon, but my hopes have been dashed. I hope that you can give the Thunder Core Iron to her. Night Sorrow sighed. He knew that this was the fate of the heavenly Tao. If one's luck was bad, then they would die. Jun Yunan's collection was still very rich. Night Sorrow didn't plan to take the resources. After he went out, if he saw Jun Yunan's wife, he would return them. He didn't want Jun Yunan to die with regrets. Night Sorrow saw a martial art and felt that it was pretty good. It was called Shadow Body. It was a martial art that could use energy to create shadows. The opponent wouldn't be able to tell the real one from the fake. No matter if it was attacking or escaping, it had a great advantage. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that it was okay to cultivate it himself. After all, Jun Yunan said that he would give him the rest. Shadow Body was also an ultimate skill that Jun Yunan had studied for many years. It wasn't an ultimate skill of the Wuling Villa. If it was an ultimate skill of the Wuling Villa, it would be immoral for Night Sorrow to learn it. It was the inheritance of a force. Even if he learned it, they might investigate. However, it was an ultimate skill that was created by Jun Yunan's own. Holding the book, Night Sorrow started to study it. It wasn't hard to cultivate the Shadow Body. The hard part was that the soul power had to be strong enough to condense energy into shadows. The stronger the soul power, the harder it would be to tell the real from the fake. After cultivating for 2 days, Night Sorrow had successfully cultivated the Shadow Body. He then continued on his journey and continued to explore. Jun Yunan also needed to understand the Tao. He had failed on his journey. Night Sorrow wanted to continue on. He didn't know if there was a Tao, but he had to work hard. Pressing forward, Night Sorrow's sharpness was getting sharper. This was also a reflection of his state of mind and his willpower. Night Sorrow no longer avoided battles. When he was exploring the space and collecting resources and ores, he didn't hesitate to kill anyone who came looking for trouble, no matter if they were cultivators or demonic beasts. Half a month later, Night Sorrow found a space tunnel. Without any hesitation he went in and entered the 15th floor. After entering the 15th floor, Night Sorrow felt a little refreshed. This was because this space world gave people a relaxed feeling. Taking a deep breath, Night Sorrow knew that even if he used the light of virtue to protect himself, he would still be affected in the previous space. Battle. Just as Night Sorrow stabilized himself, a group of demonic beasts with snake heads and human bodies appeared. They were all king beasts. They surrounded Night Sorrow and started to attack. Using the shadow body, Night Sorrow started to kill the demonic beasts without them being able to tell if he was real or fake. He had speed and attack power. Night Sorrow's battle power was already at the monarch rank. Moreover, he also had the dual absolute arts. After half an hour, the group of demonic beasts were all killed by Night Sorrow. Looking at the battlefield, Night Sorrow could feel that after the demonic beasts died, the energy and soul power in their bodies quickly dispersed and returned to the heaven and earth. This made Night Sorrow understand that the heaven and earth pavilion had its own rules. After the death of a life, all the energy would return to the heaven and earth. No matter if it was the life in the original space or the cultivators who entered later, it was the same. There was nothing to clean up. Night Sorrow continued to move forward. He was more careful as he moved forward. The 15th floor was different from when he first entered. The level of resources was different and the risks were also different. The commander of the demonic beasts was at the king level. If an ordinary king entered, even a high-level king would die and become nourishment for the heaven and earth pavilion. After moving forward for half a day, Night Sorrow took a break and brewed a pot of tea. At this moment, Jun Xuanji arrived at the Heaven Sealing Hall and reported the situation to Night Sorrow. The situation in the eastern region of the world of reincarnation was still relatively stable. The Black Fiend Valley could not even take care of itself because the dark guards of the Qing Emperor's dynasty were very fierce. Although there were not many of them, they were all experts in assassination. When they attacked, the Black Fiend Valley suffered heavy losses. The Black Fiend Valley asked the Burning Sky Tower and the Celestial Sect for help. Li Tianba's intention was to clear out the dark guards of the Qing Emperor's dynasty in the Black Fiend Valley and weaken the power of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. However, Ling Tian felt that the dark guards were experts in assassination and would not be able to catch them. The Black Fiend Valley was so big, who would be able to catch them if they hid? The Black Fiend Valley's defenses were not as strict as the Qing Emperor's dynasty. The Celestial Sect and the Burning Sky Tower did not help, and it was not convenient for the Martial God Palace to help. Li Tianba angrily announced his withdrawal from the alliance. At this moment he realized that Ling Tian was unreliable. He formed the alliance and did not care about the life and death of the alliance. The departure of the Black Fiend Valley's people made Ling Tian very angry. This was equivalent to weakening the alliance's power. After thinking for a while, Ling Tian also sent people to assassinate them. Success. The assassins sent by the Celestial Sect assassinated one of the Qing Emperor's dynasty's city lords. However, the result was that the Qing Emperor's guards immediately arrived and sealed the city. They started investigating and killing. A small group of people from the Celestial Sect did not manage to escape and were directly killed by the Qing Emperor's guards. The Celestial Sect's assassins were also very strong, but in terms of assassination, they were not as good as the Dark Guards. This was because the Dark Guards of the Qing Emperor's dynasty all cultivated a consummate skill, the Dark Night Body. This was a consummate skill that the Qing Emperor's Qing Emperor had learned in the past. It was a consummate skill for assassination and retirement. It was because of this consummate skill that the Qing Emperor formed the Dark Guards. Ling Tian, who was at a disadvantage, calmed down. He understood that he was now in a difficult situation. He was puzzled. Night Sorrow had already entered the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, so who else in the Qing Emperor's dynasty could come up with such a strategy? Ling Tian felt that this was not good. He had to think of a way to solve the current crisis. Chapter 13-17. Ling Tian once again sent spies into the Qing Emperor's dynasty to find out who was in charge of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Some things couldn't be hidden from others, and Ling Tian quickly received the results of his investigation. The Qing Emperor's dynasty's new military advisor, Jun Xuanji, was appointed by Misty Rain, and the Qing Emperor's dynasty was very strict about protecting him. Jun Xuanji was with Misty Rain every day, and there was no way to assassinate him unless there was a huge battle, but the consequences would be too severe. At this moment, Ling Tian received news that the Burning Heaven Hall had also been attacked. This time Ling Tian didn't dare to ignore it. If he didn't, then the Heaven Sealing Hall would withdraw, and this alliance would be meaningless. If his strength was inferior to the other party, how could he suppress them? Ling Tian arranged for the Celestial Sect and Martial God Palace's people to defend the Burning Heaven Pavilion, but the price was that they would no longer be able to pressure the Qing Emperor's dynasty. The situation stabilized once again. Knight Sorrow warned Jun Xuanji not to leave the 9-layer pavilion. Jun Xuanji told Knight Sorrow that Misty Rain had come with her to Seven Night City. When she came to the 9-domain world, Misty Rain had accompanied the Qing Emperor. Only then did Knight Sorrow relax. Everything was stable and he could go all out without any worries. Jun Xuanji left, and Knight Sorrow's clone in the Heaven Ceiling Pavilion continued to study formations. Knight Sorrow's main body brought his clone and started to advance. It should be said that they were scouting because there was no target in this space. They could either kill or find a spatial tunnel. If they found one, then it would be the entrance to the next level. As for going back to the next level, that was impossible. When Knight Sorrow had just entered, the spatial tunnel behind him had closed and disappeared, which meant that he could only advance and not retreat. Scouting meant that there was danger and he had to fight. Knight Sorrow felt that it was because his cultivation had increased quickly in the past 2 years and he had learned some ultimate techniques. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to survive and would be killed as soon as he entered. Knight Sorrow also met other cultivators. At this time, no one spoke any nonsense. If they met, they would fight to the death. If they couldn't win, they would run. After staying on the 15th floor for half a month, he had killed 2 cultivators and many demon beasts. Knight Sorrow had also obtained some resources. For example, Knight Sorrow had collected a lot of the Profound Spirit Pills material, the Profound Spirit Grass. On the 7th day, Knight Sorrow found another spatial tunnel. He entered it again and continued to explore the 16th level. Day and night passed as he wandered. Half a year later, Yishan entered the 21st level. In the past 6 months, Knight Sorrow had fought countless battles. He had killed many cultivators and cleared many Yao beasts. He had also collected many resources. Once, Knight Sorrow had encountered danger. It was a monarch-rank flying centipede. It was very poisonous and its poisonous gas attacked his body. Knight Sorrow was not afraid because his body was already at the advanced king rank. Some poisons could no longer hurt him. However, this flying centipede's poison attacked the soul. Knight Sorrow had used a glazed golden core to block the poisonous gas attack before he killed the flying centipede. However, Knight Sorrow had discovered it a little late. The poison had invaded his body, and he had to heal for half a month before he recovered. After suffering a loss, Knight Sorrow had become more careful. He knew that this time he had the glazed golden core to protect his body. Otherwise he would have been in danger of dying. He continued to move forward. Although he was in awe, Knight Sorrow was not afraid of any challenge. Battles, continuous battles, made Knight Sorrow's battle intent stronger. The battle intent brought about waves that rippled in all directions. It was easy to cultivate murderous aura and baleful aura. However, it was too difficult to cultivate battle intent. Many cultivators could release their murderous aura. Sandalwood could do it. Even Rin Tianji could do it. Sandalwood could even release baleful aura. Knight Sorrow had gone through a period of endless battles. He did not have any murderous aura. He only had battles to sharpen himself. He had cultivated the battle intent. Knight Sorrow was very happy with this unexpected harvest. It was difficult to cultivate pure battle intent. It could suppress some other auras. Sword intent, saber intent, and murderous aura were not as high as pure battle intent. It was rare to sharpen oneself in battles without killing intent. It was almost impossible to treat a battle of life and death as a battle. Knight Sorrow felt very lucky. With a harvest there was a direction. Knight Sorrow felt that the battle intent was very effective. It directly affected the opponent's state. Regardless of whether it was a cultivator or a demonic beast, the will of heaven and earth in their body would be weakened and their strength would decrease. Every time he fought, Knight Sorrow would try to condense and release the battle intent, trying to cultivate it to a higher level. With the help of the battle intent, Knight Sorrow's combat strength increased again, especially in a group battle. The battle intent had a great impact on the opponent. Knight Sorrow was very happy that his combat strength had increased. This was a great help to him. Knight Sorrow continued to move forward. He did not know how many levels he had to go through in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. However, he felt that he had reached the level where anything could happen. Ming Dao might also appear. When Knight Sorrow explored, he met his opponent. It was a woman in a white dress. Her eyes were filled with murderous aura. "Get out of the way. I don't want to kill anyone," Knight Sorrow said when he saw the woman blocking his way. If too many cultivators enter, it will be very difficult to meet the conditions to enter the next level. Therefore you will stop here today. The woman waved her arm and a curved blade appeared in her hand. No matter who it is, they can't stop me. I won't stop others, but I will kill whoever stops me. Night Sorrow's arm shook and Samsara appeared in his hand. He then attacked. The curved blade in the woman's hand hung diagonally. It was a special slash technique. With a crisp sound, Yishang's body didn't move. The woman in white was pushed back by Yishang's attack. Although Yishang had only used an ordinary attack, his strength was incomparably vigorous. His true chi was also abnormally tyrannical, so the woman couldn't withstand it. The woman's body flashed. She circled around Night Sorrow and began to attack with her blade. Her speed was unparalleled. However, Night Sorrow's speed was also his forte. Not only was he fast, but his speed was also supported by the will of time and space. It was more than enough to block the woman. In an instant, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. The woman could not make Night Sorrow retreat even half a step. At this time, Night Sorrow's battle intent burst out. Waves of battle intent rippled in all directions. Then he attacked with a spatial twisting dragon kill. Following an explosion, the woman was blasted far away by Yishang. The woman did not continue. After probing, she knew that she was not a match for Night Sorrow. After all, her strength was suppressed. Her attributes were suppressed and her will was suppressed. If you don't want to fight, get out of the way. Seeing that the woman did not move, Night Sorrow did not move either. If she knew when to advance or retreat, he did not want to kill her. Can you do me a favor? The woman looked at Night Sorrow and asked. No. Night Sorrow refused straightforwardly. He was too busy to deal with his own matters, and he did not want to complicate matters. Listen to me first. There is a treasure in this space, but I can't take it myself. If we work together, we might be able to. The treasure will belong to you and I will only take one thing. The white-robed woman looked at Yishang and said her reason. Chapter 13:18. Sometimes an item is worth a treasure. You have to figure it out yourself. Night Sorrow refused without hesitation. The world was a dog-eat-dog world. No one in the heaven and earth pavilion knew each other. Everyone was his opponent, so he had to be careful. The thing that I want is a resource for my cultivation. As for the rest, I won't take a single thing. If you agree to cooperate, I can swear to the heavens that I won't make you my enemy on this level. Otherwise, I'll be killed by the heaven and earth pavilion, the white-robed woman said. What treasure? How difficult is it? Night Sorrow asked after hearing that the woman was willing to swear to the heavenly Tao. Since it was a treasure, Night Sorrow also wanted to take a look. Perhaps there would be a path to enlightenment in this strange place. Afterward, the woman in white told Night Sorrow that it was the eye of an energy storm. There were many skeletons around and there were storage rings on the skeletons. What she needed was a rootless plant. The rootless plant grew not far from the eye of the energy storm, but there were evil spirits guarding it. She was repelled when she went there, but she didn't die because she relied on a secret technique. Night Sorrow knew what the eye of the energy storm was. It was a whirlpool formed by extremely dense energy. The center of the whirlpool was called the eye of the energy storm. Because of the density of the energy, it would produce some natural treasures. What kind of evil spirits are they? Night Sorrow asked. They are humans. They don't have any aura of life. It is very likely that they are cultivators who died in the past. Their intelligence was extinguished because of the special environment. They can use battle techniques, the woman in white said. Then, the woman explained the situation in detail. Her name was Hai Ling. She was a cultivator from the Black-Yellow Great World and a member of the Black-Yellow City's Great Elder Hai family. She saw two evil spirits, both of which were evil monarchs. They could use battle techniques, and their battle strength was very strong. Night Sorrow pondered for a moment before saying, if it's two evil spirit overlords, we can still kill them. The question is it worth it? It's worth it. There are a lot of rootless trees around the eye of the storm. I only need one that is more than 10,000 years old. If you can get it, the rest will be yours. Besides, those skeletons have storage rings, so it's impossible that they don't have treasures. There's an evil spirit among them. I suspect that it's Yuan Daoren. Yuan Daoren is one of the earliest cultivators in the world of Samsara. Although he's not a giant yet, he's very famous. Human sovereign. I don't know about the human sovereign. Tell me more about it, Night Sorrow said. Sizing up Night Sorrow, Hai Ling was a little stunned. As a cultivator, as a senior cultivator, there were too few people who didn't know about the human sovereign realm. However, in order to cooperate with Night Sorrow, she told him everything. The human sovereign realm was a giant, and one of the best among the giants. The only one who could contend with him was the Blood Blade Lord. Many years ago, after the two fought for the heavenly artifact, their whereabouts were unknown. The human sovereign is a human, the most outstanding cultivator of the human race. That's why he's called the human sovereign realm. He's the first giant of the human race and also the strongest. The Blood Blade Lord is a monster. I don't know what race he is, but the two secret techniques are very domineering. For example, the human sovereign realm cultivates both chi and body. Even if he stands there without moving, the king can't hurt him. The Blood Blade Lord has the heavenly artifact, Blood Blade, so he's qualified to compete with the human sovereign realm, Hai Ling explained to Night Sorrow. After listening to Hai Ling's explanation, Night Sorrow realized how outstanding the human sovereign realm was. His followers were naturally not simple. Perhaps they had the human sovereign's secret techniques. Then let's give it a try. If there's a chance, we'll go and collect it. If there's no chance, then there's nothing we can do, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow's words were equivalent to his agreement. Hai Ling opened her mouth and repeated the heavenly Tao oath. The reason he agreed was because Night Sorrow thought it was an opportunity. The area around the Eye of the Storm energy was rich with spiritual treasures of heaven and earth. Hai Ling only saw the rootless and she didn't detect anything else. The rootless was already a supreme treasure. It could make the cultivator's meridians and dantian flexible and tough. It could be used to refine the best king elixir. The soft jade muscle elixir was an extremely rare material. Most importantly, the elixir could solve some problems with the meridians and dantian. Night Sorrow thought it might be of some help to the Qing Emperor. After reaching an agreement, Night Sorrow and Hai Ling flew towards the Eye of the Energy Storm. After flying for half a day, Hai Ling told Night Sorrow that they would reach the Eye of the Storm energy after another 10,000 miles. Night Sorrow stopped and set up a teleportation array. "What are you doing?" Hai Ling looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Night Sorrow glanced at Hai Ling. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. Then he set up an illusion array to hide the teleportation array. This is a teleportation array disk. It can be used to teleport without interference. Teleport here. If there's danger, it's up to you whether or not it can save your life. Night Sorrow took out a teleportation array disk and embedded it in the teleportation crystal in front of them. Then he threw it to Hai Ling. They didn't know each other before and they didn't have any friendship. But Night Sorrow felt that since they were already teammates, if it could save her life, he should help her. Hai Ling nodded. Now she understood the purpose of the teleportation array in front of her. Hair, then the two flew towards the Eye of the Storm energy. "Can you hold off an evil spirit?" Night Sorrow asked as they flew. "There's no way I can defeat it. At most, I can hold it off for a while." "It's mainly up to you," Hai Ling said. Night Sorrow stared at Hai Ling. This was a bit of a trap. She couldn't even hold off one evil spirit. "Aren't you strong? I called you here to see if you can do it. I only want one rootless. That's the price for giving you the information," Hai Ling said. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He felt that if there were more rootless and other resources near the Eye of the Energy Storm, it wouldn't be too much for Hai Ling to ask for one rootless for one piece of information. Rootless was a natural treasure. It was an alchemy material that grew in energy. Without a root, it would grow by absorbing special energy. After flying for a while, the two of them arrived at the area where the Eye of the Storm was located. From far away, Night Sorrow could already see the wonder of heaven and earth. It was an energy vortex that stood between the sky and the earth. Thick energy rippled in all directions. "It's here," Hai Ling said. Actually, Night Sorrow didn't need Hai Ling to say it. He knew that this was the Eye of the Energy Storm. "We'll talk about it after we deal with the evil spirits. I hope you can hold on," Night Sorrow said and flew forward. As soon as the two got close to the Eye of the Storm energy, two figures flew out. Evil spirits. Night Sorrow could tell that the two people who rushed out were evil spirits, not cultivators. As the name suggested, evil spirits were evil spirits. The eyes of the two people who rushed out were no longer human. They exuded a strong evil aura. "The one in the black robe, you come," Hai Ling shouted at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow knew that the one in the black robe should be the Emperor's follower, Yuan Daoist, that Hai Ling mentioned. He should be the stronger of the two evil spirits. Chapter 13-19. There was no other way. This time Night Sorrow was the main target, so he had to bite this hard bone. If Hai Ling could bite it, she wouldn't have told him the news. Just as Hai Ling finished shouting, the two evil spirits also rushed forward. The energy on Night Sorrow's body fluctuated, and his clone appeared. The clone and the main body charged towards Yuan Daoist together. The other evil spirit's target was Hai Ling. Night Sorrow's reincarnation and the long sword in Yuan Daoist's hand collided. Then the energy burst out and collided. Night Sorrow's body was pushed back a few feet, and Yuan Daoist also retreated a few feet. Night Sorrow's heart trembled. This was the first time he was pushed back in a head-on fight. It was enough to see how tyrannical this evil spirit Yuan Daoist was. Night Sorrow's body flashed and once again fought with evil spirit Yuan Daoist. Yuan Daoist was not afraid of the recoil at all, and he was directly on top after being pushed back. Night Sorrow's two clones fought together to stabilize the situation and have time to observe Yuan Daoist. Evil spirit Yuan Daoist's body was full of evil energy. His dantian, tendons and bones were all black. Night Sorrow felt that this was because some kind of energy had invaded and then caused a mutation. Night Sorrow fought while studying Yuan Daoist's shortcomings. Evil spirit Yuan Daoist's attack was extremely tyrannical, and his speed was fast. He was not easy to kill. While Night Sorrow was thinking, there was a cry of pain from the side. Hai Ling was seriously injured. Her left shoulder was slashed by the other evil spirit. Although she managed to block the attack with her scimitar, the slash still cut into her shoulder. If she hadn't blocked it in time, she would have been dismembered by the slash. The evil spirit's attack was not over. The evil spirit then kicked Hai Ling's dantian, sending her body flying. Tell my family for me that walking on the path of the strong is my dream. I have no regrets even if I fall. I have let them down. Hai Ling, who was kicked away, shouted. Idiot, go. Night Sorrow threw out a trap and kill array disc, trapping the evil spirit that wanted to catch up with Hai Ling and kill her. At the same time he shouted. He couldn't watch his teammates die and do nothing, even if they were temporary teammates. At this time Hai Ling's dantian had been severely damaged, so she no longer had the ability to fight. However, she was still able to activate the array disc. She looked at Night Sorrow with a strange expression on her face as she was taken away by the transmission array disc. Seeing Hai Ling leave, Night Sorrow ate a lustrous golden pill and released the soul-extinguishing poison smoke. He knew that he would be in a predicament soon. Wanting to kill an evil Yuan Dao child in a frontal attack would be very difficult. Once that evil spirit broke through the death trap array disc, the pressure would increase. So he had no choice but to use poison. After using the poison, Night Sorrow used Afterimage Body. He had to seize the opportunity to kill them. He had to defeat them one by one. He couldn't let the two evil spirits work together. At this time, Night Sorrow's main body and doppelganger were covered with lustrous golden light. The Afterimage Body was also covered with lustrous golden light. Because the Afterimage Body was condensed from Night Sorrow's energy, it had the medicinal properties of the lustrous golden pill. Night Sorrow was looking for an opportunity. After evil Yuan Dao child crazily attacked a few times, his condition suddenly declined. He was poisoned. Night Sorrow knew that evil Yuan Dao child was poisoned. It didn't matter if you were a human cultivator, an undead, or a demon beast. As long as you had spirit C in consciousness, you would be affected. As soon as evil Yuan Dao child was affected by the poison, Night Sorrow's doppelganger and main body rushed towards him. The doppelganger directly attacked with Death Annihilation Slash. The Death Annihilation Slash brought out a black halo that wrapped around evil Yuan Dao child. Night Sorrow's doppelganger then pierced through his chest, blasting a big hole in his chest. Night Sorrow wanted to attack the head, but evil Yuan Dao child's long sword blocked there. Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash. Night Sorrow's main body roared. He waved his Reincarnation Slash and once again used his lost skill. The purple halo wrapped around evil Yuan Dao child, and Night Sorrow's Reincarnation Slash went out. After shaking off evil Yuan Dao child's long sword, Night Sorrow's Reincarnation Slash pierced through his forehead, shattering his spirit C. Then he turned around and blocked behind him. Because the other evil spirit that had broken through the trap and kill array had blasted a blade towards his back. With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow was sent flying. He had just used the Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash and was in a weakened state. After being sent flying, Night Sorrow spat out a mouthful of blood. Because the other party's strength was very strong. At this time, Night Sorrow's doppelganger blocked the evil spirit, giving his main body a chance to recover. After circulating the energy in his body and healing his injuries, Night Sorrow's main body once again rushed out and fought the remaining evil spirit with his doppelganger. Fortunately, Night Sorrow's doppelganger was still in peak condition. In addition, the soul-extinguishing poison smoke also had an effect on this evil spirit. After fighting for 15 minutes, Night Sorrow finally killed this evil spirit. After putting away the storage rings and weapons of the two evil spirits, Night Sorrow ate a healing pill and approached the eye of the energy storm. There were many skeletons around the eye of the storm. Their condition was a little worse than the two evil spirits that Night Sorrow had killed. After looking at them, Night Sorrow understood that after some time, these skeletons would also become evil spirits. This was because there was some evil energy within the energy vortex. At this time, Night Sorrow felt that something was wrong. His head was a little heavy, and the light emitted by his lustrous golden core was also suppressed. Night Sorrow, who had stimulated the 9 regions' origin power to protect his divine sea, looked into the energy vortex. He discovered that there was a skeleton-like stone inside the energy vortex that was emitting an evil aura. Night Sorrow understood that this evil stone was emitting an evil energy that attacked the soul. Without realizing it, one's soul would be corroded. Night Sorrow understood that he couldn't stay in this place for too long. Even if there were no evil spirits here, it was still very dangerous. The evil spirit was also an expert when it was alive. It was only because it was careless that it fell here. After putting away the storage rings on the skeletons, Night Sorrow looked at the rootless plants growing in the energy vortex. Rootless plants were top-quality alchemy materials. They could be used to refine the soft jade tendon pill that could change one's physique. At this time, several rootless plants were growing in the pure energy of the eye of the energy storm. Night Sorrow's body flashed and put the 6 or 7 plants into the space in the dragon cauldron, allowing the dragon cauldron to nourish them with energy. After looking again and confirming that he hadn't missed anything, Night Sorrow left in a flash. There was nothing else to discover here. The evil stone was a strange stone, but it was meaningless to him. On the other hand, he couldn't touch that thing as it didn't bring him any benefits. After leaving the vicinity of the eye of the storm, Night Sorrow meditated to recover. Then he took out the teleportation array disc and teleported to the teleportation array he had set up. At this time, Hai Ling was healing in the illusion array. She had been slashed and evil energy had entered her body. Her injuries were very serious. The most serious was that her dantian had been kicked by the evil spirit, causing her to lose her combat strength. You came back too. There's nothing I can do about it. Those two evil spirits are too strong. It's useless even if you can withstand Taoist Yuan. I can't withstand the other evil spirit. It seems that I'm not fated to be able to change my dantian and meridians. Hai Ling sighed. What do you plan to do after you get the rootless plant? Night Sorrow asked. I'll eat it directly and strengthen my dantian and meridians. It's meaningless to talk about it now. Hai Ling was very disinterested. Chapter 1320. It's too wasteful to eat it directly. You just want to change your dantian and meridians? I can refine the soft jade tendon pill. It's not a loss for you, Night Sorrow said as he took out the alchemy furnace. Update #soonest Night Sorrow planned to use his clone to refine the pill. His main body needed to heal and protect his clone. Seeing Night Sorrow take out the rootless pill, Hai Ling's eyes were filled with disbelief. She had been severely injured in the beginning. She felt that Night Sorrow alone would not be able to fight against 2 monarch-rank evil spirits. However, Hai Ling soon understood that Night Sorrow had a trump card that she did not know about. Otherwise he would not have succeeded. Night Sorrow took out the highest grade of rootless grass and began to prepare. Fortunately, he had all kinds of supplementary materials in his collection over the years. Night Sorrow used 6 days to refine the soft jade tendon pill. The moment the pill was out of the furnace, the sky cracked and lightning appeared. Night Sorrow knew that this was a pill tribulation. Night Sorrow opened the alchemy furnace. Then, more than 10 spinning pills appeared in the sky to be baptized by the lightning tribulation. After 15 minutes, the sky closed and 15 soft jade tendon pills with lightning patterns floated in the sky. Night Sorrow waved his arm and kept the pills in the jade bottle. Lightning pattern soft jade tendon pill. Hai Ling was at the peak of Star King, so she naturally knew what it was. I can give you 1, Night Sorrow said. No, I want 3. I'll leave 2 for my grandfather and father, Hai Ling said. 1 or a 10,000-year-old rootless pill. You choose. Night Sorrow rejected directly. He had many people to take care of. He could not accept Hai Ling's exorbitant demand. You can refine it yourself. Why can't you give it to me? Hai Ling was unwilling to give up. Then I'll give you another choice. I can refine more, but there won't be any pill tribulation. So, I can give you 3 pills without lightning marks. As for whether you want 1 top-grade pill or 3 ordinary pills, you can choose for yourself, Yishan said after thinking for a moment. Then can you give me 1 with lightning patterns and 2 ordinary pills? Hai Ling was unwilling to give up and repeated her request. Okay. It's not that I'm stingy. The opportunity belongs to whoever gets it. 1 lightning pattern soft jade tendon pill and 2 ordinary soft jade tendon pills? Night Sorrow agreed. Night Sorrow then refined another cauldron of soft jade tendon pill and gave the 3 pills to Hai Ling. You saved me this time, so I owe you a favor, Hai Ling said after receiving the pill. It's nothing. At the very least, on this floor we are teammates. I can't just watch my teammates die. This is a healing pill. It's also a top-grade pill. Take it and heal yourself. Night Sorrow gave Hai Ling another healing pill. He knew that Hai Ling's injuries were very serious. Hai Ling nodded and accepted the elixir. I have to go. There are still some things I have to do, Night Sorrow said. Is your harvest not enough? Why do you still want to fight? Hai Ling could not understand Night Sorrow's thoughts. I have to find a healing pill for my master. As long as I'm alive, I have to do it. It's safer here. Here's a trap and killer ray disc for you. If you can't do it, run and hide in a safe place until the Heaven and Earth Pavilion closes. Night Sorrow took out an array disc and handed it to Hai Ling. After doing that, Night Sorrow stood up and told Hai Ling how to get out of the illusion array. Then he walked out of the illusion array. If you're alive, come visit the Hai family in mysterious Yellow City. Hai Ling shouted at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow waved his hand and set off on his journey again. This time he only had one purpose in coming here, and that was to find Ming Dao. Although Ming Dao could not completely cure the Qing Emperor, it could guarantee that his life would not be in danger. Looking at Night Sorrow's back, Hai Ling knew that Night Sorrow had the ability to continue, but she could not. Although she was at the peak of the Star King realm and was good at speed, she was still incomparable to Night Sorrow. Besides, the soft jade tendon pill was enough for her. Night Sorrow continued to wander in this space. When he was resting, Night Sorrow opened the storage ring he had collected. There were a lot of resources in each storage ring. Because everyone who came to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion was in their original body, they usually carried things with them in case of emergencies. If they died, they would accept it. If their original body died, what was the use of resources? Therefore, everyone would equip their original body to the teeth. The resources in Yuan Daoist's storage ring were very rich. Night Sorrow actually saw the Myriad Dao Tome, which was exactly the same as his own. After the level, it was also blank. Night Sorrow understood that the level of the Myriad Dao Tome was the limit. The human sovereign should not have created the 9th level of the Myriad Dao Tome. In Xian Daozi's storage ring, there was nothing that Night Sorrow valued, but the resources were very rich. After all, the collection of an old monarch was very rich. On the 9th day, Night Sorrow found a teleportation array and entered the 22nd floor. Night Sorrow's heart was boiling and calm, and his fighting spirit was constantly rising. As time slowly passed, Night Sorrow broke through more and more floors. In the case of meeting opponents, he would meet at most a few people on each floor. Night Sorrow knew that there was a lot of space here. Everyone who came here for training was different. As Night Sorrow calmed himself down, he concocted a few more cauldrons of jade tendon bone pills. His family needed them, and so did the villains of the god-slaying squad. If he could help the people around him, he would. When Night Sorrow entered the 26th floor, he was immediately suppressed. It was full of astral winds and astral chi. Night Sorrow raised his protective energy shield and endured it. He did not understand what was going on. He quickly walked under the pressure of the astral chi and astral winds. He wanted to walk out of this strange circle because he would not be able to hold on for long. With his power of desolates exhausted, Night Sorrow tried to enter the space-time pagoda. However, he found that he couldn't. There were natural laws that blocked him from using spatial magical treasures. Tempering. Night Sorrow knew that this was tempering. If he could hold on, he would move on to the next floor. If he couldn't, then he would die. Next, Night Sorrow used his spatial energy to block. When the spatial energy was almost exhausted, Night Sorrow continued to use his void chi to block. Night Sorrow had calculated that if he used the 3 types of energy alternately, he would be able to withstand as much as a monarch. It could even be said that he surpassed a monarch. This was because when he used his void chi, he ate pills to recover his spatial and temporal energy. After using the 3 types of energy alternately for 2 rounds, Night Sorrow walked out of the vicious circle. If he didn't have any trump cards, he would die easily. Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the area filled with astral energy and astral winds. He felt a little emotional because this was too difficult. Not far ahead was the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow knew that it was getting harder and harder, but he couldn't retreat. He had to move forward. After entering the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow used his energy to protect himself. After exiting the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow didn't find anything special. However, just as he let his guard down, his opponent came. A figure with a metallic glow appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Second update. Thank you for the unsealing of 4 and low yesterday. The website had been modified a little. The computer version could be viewed and the mobile version could be viewed. If it's convenient, you can download the mobile version. It might be a little inconvenient for the time being, but you'll get used to it. You'll be more tolerant and understanding. Chapter 1321. Genius 1 second. Remember Love Go Novels Web. I'll bring you a wonderful novel to read. Gold Man. This was not a human but a metal life form. There were all kinds of strange things in the boundless world. Plants and minerals could achieve Tao. The Gold Man in front of him was a mineral that achieved Tao. The Gold Man's attack was fierce, and Night Sorrow could not take it head-on. In addition, he had not found the Gold Man's weakness. Night Sorrow used Afterimage body. Then his original body and clone separated to restrain the Gold Man. After fighting for a while, Night Sorrow realized that the Gold Man's body was tyrannical. It was unrealistic to cut the body. He could only attack the soul. If the body was strong, then the soul might be the weakness. After blasting out a time shock wave, Night Sorrow's original body and clone both used soul destruction slash. 2 dark purple crescent blades rushed toward the Gold Man's bald head. At this time, a golden light wave appeared on the Gold Man's head to block Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash. However, its attack also stopped. Obviously, the soul defense had a great impact on it. The Gold Man did not move, but Night Sorrow moved. Samsara and Space Splitter bombarded the Gold Man's body, destabilizing the energy in its body. Then 2 dark purple crescent blades kept attacking. If he wanted to take down the Gold Man, he had to attack the soul. However, the Gold Man's soul defense was also very strong. Void Extreme Kill. Night Sorrow growled. His original body used Void Extreme Kill to stab at the Gold Man. Just now he had used Space Revolving Dragon Kill twice. Several time shock waves had not broken the Gold Man's defense. Now he planned to try using Void Extreme Kill, which had extremely strong penetrating power. Samsara had the ability to attack the soul, but the prerequisite was that it had to pierce the opponent's body. As the purple halo of Samsara exploded, a hole was melted in the Gold Man's chest. Samsara pierced all the way in. This was the dominance of the supreme attribute. At this time, Samsara, which had pierced into the Gold Man's body, emitted a special energy that rushed toward the spirit sea in the Gold Man's head. With the impact of this energy, the Gold Man's divine sea was shaken. At this moment, Night Sorrow's 2 soul destruction crescent moon slash broke through the Gold Man's soul defense and entered his head. At that moment, Night Sorrow discovered that there was a white crystal in the Gold Man's spirit sea. The crystal and its exterior were wrapped in golden energy. Break. With a low growl, Night Sorrow controlled one of the crescent blades to land on the white crystal, dispersing the golden energy on the crystal and inside it. The other crescent blade slashed wildly in the Gold Man's spiritual sea. In fact, there was no need for Night Sorrow's crescent blade to slash wildly. After Night Sorrow had shaken off the energy on the crystal, the Gold Man's eyes had lost their light and consciousness. What a great harvest! Night Sorrow knew that he had a great harvest. This Gold Man was a top-grade crafting material, spiritual Tao copper essence. Of course, Night Sorrow would not destroy this Gold Man. As long as he refined the crystal in the Gold Man's spirit sea, he would be able to control the Gold Man. This Gold Man's combat power was at the monarch level. Seeing that the Gold Man's chest had automatically recovered, Night Sorrow felt that he should find a safe place to refine it. After flying for a while, Night Sorrow entered the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda to refine the Gold Man. As soon as he refined it, Night Sorrow discovered a problem. The secrets in the crystal were all natural patterns. If he did not study it thoroughly, he would not be able to make it recognize him as its master. However, he did not have the time. In the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, the Gold Man could not be counted on. Night Sorrow shook his head helplessly. Night Sorrow began to explore this space again. However, he did not find anything. After searching for half a month, he collected some ores. However, Night Sorrow did not find any space tunnel or teleportation formation. He did not know how to enter the 28th floor. After 2 months, Night Sorrow still did not find the opportunity to enter the 28th floor. On this day, Night Sorrow set up a tent and was resting when a cultivator appeared. No wonder I can't enter the 28th floor. It's because of you. There's no trigger condition. This old man attacked Night Sorrow with his sword. The long sword was filled with vibrations of space energy. He did not hold back at all. Monarch. Night Sorrow realized that his opponent was a monarch. Even if he was a monarch, he had to be a powerful one to enter the 27th floor. Night Sorrow used Afterimage to dodge his opponent's attack. Then he counterattacked. The two of them fought with speed. In an instant they had exchanged hundreds of moves. First 90 rounds of addition, Soul Sword Slash. After a head-on collision, the old man let out a low growl. Then a solid sword was shot out from his Spirit Sea. Soul Attack Secret Skill. After countless battles, Night Sorrow had seen Soul Defense secret skills. However, Soul Attack secret skills were rare. He understood that this was the reason why this monarch could reach the 27th floor. He was strong and had a Soul Attack secret skill. He had the ability to enter the 27th floor. Night Sorrow was also good at soul attacks. He immediately used Soul Destruction Slash's Crescent Blade and clashed with the monarch's Soul Sword Blade. However, Night Sorrow was not as strong as this monarch. The Crescent Blade was not as strong as the Soul Sword Blade. After the Crescent Blade was blocked, the Soul Sword Blade continued to attack Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow's original body still had Soul Destruction Slash's Crescent Blade. Night Sorrow's 2 Crescent Blades blocked the Soul Sword Blade. Death Destruction Slash. After breaking the opponent's Soul Secret Technique attack, Night Sorrow's doppelganger flashed and directly used the Great Death Obliteration Slash. After being surrounded by the rippling death halo, the old man let out a low growl. The halo on his head rippled and he struggled to break free from Night Sorrow's Death Destruction Slash. He used his long sword to block one of Night Sorrow's clones. However, at this moment, Yishang's real body's Great Emperor Samsara Slash followed up. Yishang knew that his opponent was much stronger than him, both in terms of cultivation and soul power. He could not give his opponent a second chance to attack, nor could he give his opponent a chance to escape. When the old man appeared, he made it very clear. Night Sorrow's existence prevented him from reaching the 28th floor. Similarly, this old man's existence prevented Night Sorrow from reaching the 28th floor. Before the old man could react, Night Sorrow's Samsara Slash arrived in front of him with a purple halo. The purple halo that could affect the soul engulfed this sovereign. Night Sorrow's Samsara Slash entered the old man's forehead without any hindrance, piercing through his head and Spirit Sea. After killing his opponent, Night Sorrow went forward to collect the storage ring and weapons. Night Sorrow did not lack king weapons, but the members of the God-slaying team did. It would be good to take them back and give them to everyone. After Night Sorrow collected the spoils of war, the mystic golden light on Night Sorrow's arm moved. It turned into a protective shield and pulled Night Sorrow into another space. The 28th floor. After checking that there was no danger, Night Sorrow opened the old man's storage ring. A handwritten letter entered Night Sorrow's vision. Chapter 1322. Genius 1 second remembers Love Go Novels web, bringing you interesting novels to read. Small, say, the letter recorded some information about the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Night Sorrow didn't know about it and even Tang Bo and the others didn't know about it. This was a letter from a predecessor, the one who saw the heavenly artifact. He had fallen but he still had a clone outside. He entered the Heaven and Earth Pavilion and went through the 33rd floor. That meant that he didn't know how many floors there were in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, but there were only 33 floors in total, and the 33rd floor was the top floor. The author of the letter saw the heavenly artifact on the 33rd floor, but he didn't get it. Most importantly, as long as he entered the 33rd floor, he could make a request to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. If he could complete it, then the Heaven and Earth Pavilion would fulfill his request. The author of the letter reached the 33rd floor. He wanted the heavenly artifact and the Heaven and Earth Pavilion gave it to him. However, he didn't pass the test and couldn't get it. 28th floor. 5 more floors. Night Sorrow was excited. This information was very important to him. As long as he passed 5 more floors, he would have a chance to ask the Heaven and Earth Pavilion's artifact spirit for enlightenment. Hard work. Night Sorrow knew that the next 5 floors wouldn't be easy. The higher the floor, the harder it would be. Of course, the risk was proportional to the reward. Then Night Sorrow looked at the Sovereign's collection. It was very rich. He reached the 27th floor. Apart from his previous collection, he also had a lot of rewards this time. However, these were all Night Sorrow's now. Night Sorrow also found the Soul Spirit Sword Chop book. After looking at the book, Night Sorrow smiled. He already had the Soul Destruction Chop, so he naturally wouldn't choose to cultivate it. However, this Soul Spirit secret technique could be learned by others, and he didn't have to worry about the inheritance. Since he got it himself, he could teach it to whoever he wanted. After packing up, Night Sorrow continued forward. As he moved forward, Night Sorrow realized that this was a terrifying space. There were no large beasts, but there were groups of poisonous beasts. They were fast and poisonous. Night Sorrow had secretive true body and the detoxification pill. Poisons that were fatal to ordinary cultivators were not a threat to him. However, finding the spatial passageway to the 29th floor was very difficult. After spending 2 months and dodging countless poisonous creatures, Night Sorrow finally found the passageway to the 29th floor. After setting up a comprehensive defense, Night Sorrow entered the 29th floor. However, Night Sorrow didn't encounter any attacks and was rather safe. Night Sorrow let out a sigh of relief, but it was only for a moment before an opponent appeared. It was a Windfire Dragon. The Windfire Dragon was extremely fast as it continuously attacked in the air. Wind blades and flames continuously bombarded Night Sorrow. Facing the Windfire Dragon that was extremely talented, Night Sorrow went all out. While dodging with all his might, he released the Spatial Pagoda and 8 Dragon Cauldron and smashed them towards the Windfire Dragon. The Spacetime Pagoda and Cauldron of 8 dragons were huge, so their smashing power was terrifying. A moment later, the Windfire Dragon, which was so huge that it couldn't dodge, was smashed to pieces. Its scales and blood flew everywhere. The furious Windfire Dragon continued to charge at Yi Sorrow, its power even more explosive. Night Sorrow's doppelganger and his doppelganger both activated the illusion array discs. After holding them in their hands, they quickly left the battlefield. However, their soul power was still controlling the 2 treasures to attack the Windfire Dragon. Since they couldn't see Night Sorrow, the Windfire Dragon attacked with a large area. Wind blades, flames, tail sweeps, etc. They wanted to find Night Sorrow. The Windfire Dragon's method was very effective. Once Night Sorrow's illusion array was attacked by the energy, ripples would appear and he would be discovered by the Windfire Dragon. Luckily, Night Sorrow's speed was quite fast. After being discovered, he instantly teleported away, causing the Windfire Dragon's violent attacks to miss. The Windfire Dragon was quite annoyed because it could only passively take a beating. It couldn't do anything to Night Sorrow. After fighting for 2 hours, the Windfire Dragon's aura became much weaker. This was because it had been continuously attacking with high intensity, and it had also been heavily damaged by the Spatial Pagoda and 8 Dragon Cauldron. Since it couldn't defeat Night Sorrow, the Windfire Dragon planned to retreat. However, Night Sorrow was unwilling to do so. It had been madly attacking for 2 hours and now it wanted to give up. Night Sorrow chased after him from behind, and the 2 Dharma treasures constantly bombarded each other. After 2 hours of chasing, the Windfire Dragon couldn't hold on any longer. Even though it had a lot of life force, it couldn't withstand Night Sorrow's attacks for 4 hours. Its life force had already been depleted and it was about to die. Sorry? This is the way of the world. I don't want you to suffer, so I'll send you off. Night Sorrow's body flashed, and he appeared in front of the Windfire Dragon. With a single attack, he pierced through the Windfire Dragon's forehead, killing it. The Windfire Dragon wasn't a pure dragon, but its essence blood was all treasures. It had been losing normal blood, but the precious essence blood and heart blood were still there. After the Windfire Dragon died, Night Sorrow quickly put the Windfire Dragon's corpse into the 8 Dragon Cauldron because he could feel the Windfire Dragon's energy dissipating. Tang Bo and Tang Yi had emphasized a few times that the lives that died in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion were nourishment for the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. Since they were nourishment, their energy and essence would be taken away. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Night Sorrow naturally wouldn't let the Windfire Dragon's corpse lose its energy, so he immediately put it into the 8 Dragon Cauldron. Just as Night Sorrow put away the Windfire Dragon, a spatial tunnel appeared not too far away from Night Sorrow. Looking at the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow understood that the Windfire Dragon was the guard of the 29th level. If he could kill it, he would be able to enter the 30th level. If he couldn't, then he would end up in the Windfire Dragon's stomach. After Night Sorrow consumed the Life Spirit Fluid and Holy Spirit Fluid to recover, he entered the spatial passageway after setting up a comprehensive defense. This was a special world. The spirit chi was extremely dense and it was filled with peace and serenity. This peace and serenity calmed down Night Sorrow's restless heart. Night Sorrow tried to return to the 8-Dragon Cauldron, and he was able to enter it. After entering the 20th level, Night Sorrow could no longer enter spatial treasures, which meant that he couldn't avoid battles. Now that he could, Night Sorrow was very happy. He entered the 8-Dragon Cauldron and started to deal with the Windfire Dragon's corpse. The dragon's body was full of treasures, and they were all top-grade materials for refining pills and equipment. Night Sorrow used an hour to deal with it. After brewing a pot of tea and resting for a while, Night Sorrow started to explore the 30th level. There were no high-level beasts in the 30th level, but there were many pills and materials, and they were all of the king grade. Night Sorrow collected them as he explored. He felt that the 30th level was the true journey of opportunities, and cultivators would be rich once they came here. In a special environment, Night Sorrow saw soul cultivation liquid and soul cultivation tea. These were treasures for sovereigns. Night Sorrow still had a stock of soul cultivation liquid, but he didn't have much of it. However, there seemed to be a limit. After Night Sorrow collected 9 drops of soul cultivation liquid from the inverted stalactite, he stopped producing soul cultivation liquid. Chapter 13:23. After that, Night Sorrow collected the soul-nurturing tea. His wives could not use the soul-nurturing liquid, but they could consume the soul-nurturing tea. It could increase their soul power and cultivation. After collecting the soul-nurturing tea, Night Sorrow continued to walk around the 30th floor. He knew that this was a chance for him to rest and recuperate. After 2 more floors he would be able to enter the final floor, the 33rd floor. Night Sorrow's path on the 30th floor changed. He did not find the opportunity to enter the 31st floor. Night Sorrow felt that he did not find the key point. If he did, he would naturally enter the 31st floor. After a month, the mysterious golden light on Night Sorrow's arm changed and wrapped around Night Sorrow. There was a time limit. Night Sorrow understood that the 30th floor was a month. When the time was up, he could enter the next floor. At this time, the mysterious golden light began to pull Night Sorrow into another space. The 31st floor was like a large palace. However, the moment Night Sorrow entered, a strong pressure appeared. The pressure attacked Night Sorrow. It was an attack on Night Sorrow's soul. At this time, Night Sorrow could not avoid it. He could only sit down cross-legged and endure the pressure. The pressure continued to suppress Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow knew that this was what he could endure. If he could not, his consciousness would be attacked and he would become an idiot. If it was serious, his spirit ocean would be shattered. After activating his light of virtue to resist the pressure, Night Sorrow endured it. 7 days, 10 days, and on the 21st day the pressure disappeared. A spatial tunnel appeared in the middle of the palace. Test. This was a pure test. Night Sorrow understood that before the 30th floor of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, danger and opportunity coexisted. The 30th floor was a pure reward. Now it was a pure test. After recovering to his best state, Night Sorrow entered the spatial tunnel. As the energy rotated, the environment and space around Night Sorrow changed. Then he appeared in another palace. The 32nd floor. After entering the 32nd level, Night Sorrow had already made his preparations. This was the final test to enter the 33rd heaven. After passing this test, he would be able to know whether or not there was an enlightened Tao. If there was, then it would depend on his ability. If there wasn't, then this would be a pure experience. Just as Night Sorrow was preparing, the test arrived. Energy pressure, willpower pressure, and soul pressure rolled over. Overall suppression was much more terrifying than the 31st floor. Monarch rank. Energy oppression was monarch rank, will oppression was monarch rank, and soul oppression was monarch rank. This was a comprehensive monarch rank oppression test. Night Sorrow used a shockwave in his protective barrier, which could reduce the consumption of energy. Then he used the spacetime willpower to resist the pressure from the Heaven and Earth Pavilion's mixed willpower. In response to the soul suppression, Night Sorrow activated the soul orb. While defending his soul, he also activated the golden light of virtue. The pressure was great and Night Sorrow was bearing it all. After enduring for 2 hours, Night Sorrow's spatial energy and power of desolates were more than half depleted. He planned to enter the spatial treasure with his real body and use his clone to resist. However, he realized that there were restrictions again. This meant that he could not enter the spatial treasure and had to use his real body to resist. In such a situation, replenishment was more important. Night Sorrow casually took out resources to replenish his consumption. However, Night Sorrow realized that he could not communicate with the spatial ring under the restrictions of the heaven and earth law. Without any external interference, Night Sorrow understood what was going on. He could not take advantage of the situation. He had to rely on his own strength to avoid all external forces. In such a situation, Night Sorrow had to make arrangements. He could not use only one type of energy. He had to use 3 types of energy alternately. This way he might be able to withstand it. Looking at the original chapter, Night Sorrow's soul power was now at the monarch rank. With the golden light of virtue weakening the pressure, his soul defense was possible. As for the comprehension of willpower, Night Sorrow's spacetime willpower and nihility willpower were interchangeable. He also had the monarch rank resistance. Night Sorrow was worried about his own energy. Although his time and space willpower were at the advanced king rank, there was still a gap between them and the monarch rank. He could make up for it with his wisdom and usage. The pressure was endless. The energy within the heaven and earth pavilion was like a tidal wave that constantly battered Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was like a reef that resisted the waves. No matter how ferocious the waves were, he would remain unmoved. After a day, Night Sorrow's condition had deteriorated. However, his fighting spirit was high. He believed that if other monarchs could do it, he could do it too. Since the Heaven Masters were not allowed to enter, there would be no Heaven Master level test. After 2 days, Night Sorrow's condition was low. With a low roar, Night Sorrow activated his battle spirit. The battle spirit could not weaken the pressure from the heaven and earth pavilion, but it could improve Night Sorrow's condition. Time slipped away slowly. The energy in Night Sorrow's body was decreasing. No matter how he planned to use it, the consumption was still there. His soul power was also greatly consumed because he had been constantly activating his energy to resist the pressure from the heaven and earth pavilion's willpower. Night Sorrow felt that he could not take it anymore. He had done everything he could, but the test here was too difficult. He could not obtain the path of enlightenment not because he did not work hard enough, but because the pressure from the heaven and earth pavilion was not something he could withstand. If he could not withstand it, he would die. Night Sorrow did not regret dying. Some things had to be done even if he knew that he would die. This was perseverance and faith. It was a quality that one could not lose. After he thought things through, Yishan became much more at ease. His face, which had been contorted with all his might, became much calmer. Ask the heart. Night Sorrow asked his own heart. In the past years he had worked hard, fought, and never gave up on his faith. He had a clear conscience. He did not let himself down. Night Sorrow also understood what he had always wanted. It was to charge towards the path of an expert. It was to protect his family, his loved ones, and the 9-domain world. Even if he failed, he would not regret it. Come. Night Sorrow was very calm. As Night Sorrow comprehended his state of mind, his weakened soul power once again erupted with potential. It even had a faint golden light. Enlightenment and awakening were cultivation. It was the cultivation of one's state of mind and soul. After comprehending, Night Sorrow's soul power had a holy light. At this moment, the 9-domain world was also filled with golden light. Accompanied by Yi Qingyan, the Qing Emperor who was drinking tea by the lake in the 9-domain world city in the sky, stopped. Qingyan, your father has made great achievements again. The Qing Emperor looked at the golden light in the sky and said, Grandmaster, my father is not cultivating. He has gone to the Xuanhuang Great World. Yi Qingyan said, You don't understand. Cultivation is not necessarily cultivation of energy. Your father is now a virtuous saint. This light is the virtuous golden light. In the 9-domain world, if your father says that the river flows backward, the river will flow backward. If your father says that the sun and the moon have no light, there will be no light in this world. The Qing Emperor said. He was very pleased with his disciple's achievement. This was an unimaginable realm of cultivation of mind and morality. Chapter 1324. Yi Qingyan was stunned because she didn't understand. Your father used to be a body of merit in the 9-domain world, and he contributed a lot to the 9-domain world. He also paid attention to his cultivation, and he was very strict with himself. Not only did the 9-domain world's origin acknowledge him, but the heavenly Tao also acknowledged him. However, he's not in a good situation now, the Qing Emperor said. What's going on? At this moment, Misty Rain and Jun Xuanji also arrived. Some insights can only be gained during times of crisis, when one is facing everything calmly. It can even be said that one can only gain insights when one is on the brink of death. Let's go to the heaven-sealing Great Hall to take a look. After thinking of some things, the Saiyan Emperor was somewhat anxious. After arriving at the heaven-sealing Great Hall, they didn't see Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow's clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall was affected by his original body and was also gaining enlightenment. They decided to wait here. The Qing Emperor was worried about Night Sorrow. He knew that some enlightenment could only be gained at the end of one's life. Now that the golden light of merit was about to appear in the 9-domain world, it could be a good thing or a bad thing. In the 30th heaven of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, Night Sorrow's face was calm. If one looked carefully, one could even see a calm smile on his face. Just as they were talking, the pressure on Night Sorrow disappeared, and the Great Hall became calm again. The golden light of profound yellow wrapped around and pulled Night Sorrow to the next level again. One day later, Night Sorrow opened his eyes. It was still a great hall, but it was much more simple and solemn. A mysterious aura surrounded the hall, and a man stood in the middle of the hall with his hands behind his back. Night Sorrow stood up, and the man also turned around. Countless years have passed, and you're the third person to enter the 33rd heaven. The first two were sovereigns, and they were invincible sovereigns. You're not bad to be able to reach here, the man in golden armor with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow greets Senior, Night Sorrow said as he bowed. Virtuous merit saint. It's a pity that you are not a member of our Black-Yellow Great Worlds World Group. Still, I am very happy to see a genius like you. The man nodded at Night Sorrow, his eyes filled with praise. Night Sorrow found that the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World and the origin of the world of Samsara were completely different in aura. The origin of the world of Samsara had an oppressive and magnificent aura, while the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World had a thick and sharp chi power. Don't speak first. This lord set up the Heaven and Earth Pavilions test for the sake of nurturing some geniuses and destroying some mediocre geniuses. You are a genius. If you stop now, the rewards this time around would be yours. But if you speak, you have to follow the rules. No one can change this, not even this lord. The source energy of the world of reincarnation spoke. Thank you for your reminder, Senior. Night Sorrow is not here for resources, nor for opportunities. I am here to solve a problem in my heart. If I can get what I want, I am willing to keep everything I have gained this time, Night Sorrow said. It's a good thing for young people to have ambitions, but there is a limit. You are young and have a body of merit. You are blessed by the heavenly Tao. If you keep going steadily, you will achieve great things. Why do you have to risk your life? As a cultivator, you need to have the courage to risk your life. But you also need to know when to stop. The two geniuses who entered the 33rd floor all wanted the heavenly Tao artifact. Unfortunately, without exception, both of them died here. The heavenly Tao artifact is not that easy to obtain, said the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World. I'm not here for the heavenly Tao artifact. I am here for a material. Night Sorrow knew that the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World had misunderstood. It might know about the Black-Yellow Great World, but it did not know about the world of Samsara. What material? Asked the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World after being stunned. The enlightened Tao. The enlightened Tao that can repair a cultivator's dantian and meridians, said Night Sorrow. You are fine, but you are asking for the enlightened Tao. It seems that you are doing it for someone else, said the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World after sizing up Night Sorrow. To save someone. To save my master. Night Sorrow then told the origin of his situation. I understand. But this Heaven and Earth Pavilion has its own rules. Whether you are asking for the heavenly Tao artifact or a spiritual stone, the test is the same. There is a 90% chance of death. You might not even have a chance, said the origin of the Black-Yellow Great World. There are some things that must be done. If I miss it because my belief is not firm enough or because I am not brave enough, then I will not be able to face myself. Thank you for your advice, Senior, said Night Sorrow. I don't have the enlightened Tao here, but I do have a heavenly Tao. The effect of a leaf is equivalent to the enlightened Tao. The origin of the Black-Yellow Great World looked at Night Sorrow and gave him the answer. Then this junior will ask for a leaf of the heavenly Tao. Night Sorrow's attitude was firm. He did not ask for a great harvest. He only wanted to solve the problem of the Qing Emperor. Firm attitude. But there are some things that I still have to say. You are not from the black-yellow great world. The chances of the heaven and earth pavilion are for the cultivators of the black-yellow great world. For those from other worlds I will also give them a chance, but the difficulty will be higher. I did not make things difficult for you because you have a body of merit. But now I have a request. The origin of the black-yellow great world looked at Night Sorrow and said, Square root original first. Post, Senior Night Sorrow came here according to the rules of the heaven and earth pavilion. Please make an exception. Night Sorrow is willing to accept the test. Night Sorrow's heart skipped a beat. Some of the disadvantages of not being a cultivator of the black-yellow great world still appeared. Rules? I can give you a chance to accept the rules of the heaven and earth pavilion's test. I can also not give you a chance. I can't kill you. That will harm my own fate. Can I at least send you out? The origin of the black-yellow great world looked at Night Sorrow and snorted. Senior Night Sorrow is young and inexperienced. I'm afraid I can't fulfill your request. Night Sorrow bowed and said, That's another matter. That's another matter. You've intentionally suppressed your own source energy. However, there's nothing in this heaven and earth pavilion that can hide from me. You're the realm lord and you're the supreme source energy. Besides, there's another source energy in your body. If I'm not wrong, it should be the source energy of the world of reincarnation. He should have told you something. The source energy of the Shenhuang Great World spoke. Night Sorrow did not say a word, because it was the truth. Now I will give you a choice. If you agree to one of my conditions, the heavenly Tao will reward you. In addition, if you pass the test, I will give you an opportunity. Whether you can get it depends on your ability. The origin of the black-yellow great world said. Senior, is this appropriate? I'm just following the rules. Night Sorrow was a little helpless. He could not give up the enlightened Tao, which was the current heavenly Tao. But he did not want to be bound. Rules? Not to mention the heaven and earth pavilion, even in the black-yellow great world, I am the rule. You can only choose one. The origin of the black-yellow great world was very strong. It directly cut off Night Sorrow's escape route. Senior, please tell me your conditions. I'll think about it. Night Sorrow said. Second watch. Chapter 1325. Unseal. When the Shenhuang world is destroyed, come and help me. Take my origin and give me a chance to develop again, said the origin of the Shenhuang world. How do I help you? Night Sorrow would not agree to other people's requests. Once he agreed, he would do his best. It's very simple. You have the supreme attribute and so does your world. Your supreme attribute is new, so you still have a long life. But I don't. When the time comes, I will need you to protect my origin from being destroyed. After a period of protection, I will naturally continue to reproduce and return to my current state. What you need to do is to protect me. Of course, you will be the benefactor of the world of samsara at that time, and you will also receive a lot of benefits, said the origin of the Shenhuang world. Okay, I'll take it. As long as I'm still alive, said Night Sorrow. You're right. That's right. First of all, you've got to stay alive. That's because the next stage is going to be extremely difficult. There have been 2 geniuses who had made it here in the past. However, both of them had fallen. This rule was set by your lord a long time ago, and so was the test. As for whether or not you can clear it, that's all up to you. As for the outcome, your lord will leave it to the heavens. The source of Shenhuang world spoke up. Then let's do it. Yi Shang said. Okay, then it's up to you. Go to sleep. The origin of the Shenhuang world waved his sleeve and the energy in the hall shrouded Night Sorrow. After being shrouded by the energy, Night Sorrow entered a strange state. In Zhuyuan village, Night Sorrow went out with Eben on his back. Brother Night Sorrow, I want a rabbit. Brother Night Sorrow, I want a bear's tooth to make a necklace. Night Sorrow nodded to the children of Zhuyuan village and said, Wait for me. I will do it. Day after day, Papa Gu grew old. Night Sorrow got married and had children. He also grew old gradually. When he was so old that he could not move, Night Sorrow asked himself if he would have a different life if he had strongly requested Papa Gu to go out and cultivate. In Zhuyuan village, Night Sorrow went out with Eben on his back. Night Sorrow, bring a big guy back to go with the wine. Uncle Nyo's good wine is waiting for you. Uncle Nyo of Zhuyuan village shouted to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow hunted the black scale beast and brought it back to the village. Night Sorrow told Papa Gu again. And Papa Gu agreed with Uncle Nyo. After countless trials and tribulations, Night Sorrow finally made it to the medicinal valley. However, under the threat of Qin Hai and Qin Shan, he retreated. In the end, he became a guard at a medicinal shop. He only managed to cultivate to the core formation stage. His longevity was over, and he sat in the mansion he had earned. He felt that he had not resisted. If he had persisted in the past, perhaps his life would have been different. Zhiyuan. Life after life was placed in front of him. But all of them had flaws. Life was full of different forms. Life after life. At this moment, Night Sorrow was already a monarch. When he saw his opponents coming, he could not resist. Sikong Chiu fell. Oi fell. His parents fell. Even Qing Yen fell in his arms. When Qing Yen touched her wound and said, "Father, I'm in pain," Night Sorrow, who never cried, cried. What did he want all these years? What did he want? To protect his family and the people around him. Why couldn't he do it? With the shouts, Night Sorrow understood one thing. If he wanted to protect his family and his family, he had to be invincible. His combat power was unparalleled. Night Sorrow opened his eyes. After wiping the corners of his eyes, he bowed to the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World. Thank you, Senior. It seems that you really understand and understand. This is the illusion of life. There are 100 lives. If you don't wake up after 100 lives and don't understand your flaws, you won't wake up again. Your soul will scatter and become nourishment for the pavilion of heaven and earth. Only by understanding your shortcomings can you break the illusion of life. Actually, I've seen the 100 lives in your inner world. You cultivate your heart and morals. You don't have any desires or fights. You are a perfect human. However, you lack a spirit. The spirit to go against the heavens. Only by being invincible and having unparalleled combat power can you give the people around you a sense of security, said the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World. Night Sorrow understands. I understand a life without action and a life without regrets. Therefore, I know what I should do in the future, said Night Sorrow. Congratulations. Since the formation of the Xuanhuan Great World, you are the only practitioner who has passed the test of the 33 levels of heaven. Although you are not from the Xuanhuan World Group, I'm still happy for you. The origin of the Xuanhuan Great World nodded to Night Sorrow. Then, the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World waved his hand. A strand of energy wrapped around a 7-leaf plant appeared. This is the way of heaven. Its effect is far beyond the way of enlightenment. One leaf can kill a person and turn him into a skeleton. In your master's case, one leaf is enough. But don't waste it. You cultivate your body. If you can make further progress in the future, you can use it to cultivate your body. It's an amazing material. There is no way of heaven in the world anymore, said the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World. All for me, said Night Sorrow. I said I'll give you double the reward. Are you going to ask for something else? If so, you can only take one leaf of the way of heaven, said the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World. Then it's him. So what if it's a divine weapon of heaven? It's an external object after all. Strength is the most important thing, said Night Sorrow. That's right. The origin of the world of samsara should have told you something. It should also help you. If you have any difficulties in the future and need my help, you can come to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, said the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World. At the same time, it handed the way of heaven to Night Sorrow. The way of heaven needs the power of the world's origin to grow. It will never wither. Take good care of it. Night Sorrow nodded. He was very happy. With the way of heaven in his hand, Night Sorrow no longer had to worry about the Qing Emperor's life. Young man, you've completed the trial of the Heaven and Earth Pavilion perfectly. It's a perfect journey. The origin of the Xuanhuan Great World congratulated Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow also bowed to the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World. He was very grateful. Night Sorrow had never lacked gratitude. The origin of the Xuanhuan Great World nodded to Night Sorrow. Then it waved its arm. Night Sorrow felt the space-time change. When he reappeared, he was in the void outside the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. There were other figures in the void. They were all sent out by the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. At this time there was another fight in the sky. There were people who were at a disadvantage. Now that they met again, how could they not kill? Tang Bo and Tang Yi flew to Night Sorrow's side. It's good that you're safe and sound. It's so fast this time. In the past it would take at least 10 years. This time it hasn't even been 3 years, Tang Yi muttered. At this time, Jun Hua and Hai Ling also came to Night Sorrow's side. Night Sorrow, I, Hai Ling, formally invite you to visit the Sea King's mansion. Hai Ling looked at Night Sorrow and said, Thank you. But it will be a little later. I have to deal with another matter first. Brother Jun, can you take me to Wuling Mountain later? Night Sorrow looked at Junhua. Say it. Chapter 1326. Unseal? Okay, when? Junhua was stunned for a moment. As soon as possible. Can we do it now? Night Sorrow asked. Tang Bo and Tang Yi didn't understand why Night Sorrow suddenly wanted to go to Wuling Mountain, but the two of them expressed that they were willing to accompany Night Sorrow. But at this moment, a saber aura charged towards Night Sorrow. It was a black metal man. Puppet. Night Sorrow knew that it was a puppet of the celestial sect. Now that it was really here to assassinate him, it was merciless. The main reason was that fighting was not prohibited here. Courting death. Datura, who had received a message from his subordinate, came to pick up Night Sorrow. When he saw this scene as soon as he arrived, he was furious. He rushed out and fought with the puppet controlled by Elder Jia of the Celestial Sect. The puppet of the Sky Pillar Sect was powerful because the internal formation could produce destructive energy, so its combat power was tyrannical. However, what kind of combat power did Datura have now? He could kill other Sky Pillars, so he suppressed this Sky Pillar level puppet and forced it to retreat. In the end, he used the Death Destruction Slash and directly enveloped the black puppet. Then he slashed the black puppet's head. At this moment, the puppet stopped moving. A figure appeared and spat out blood as he flew backward. This person was Elder Jia. Datura didn't cut through the puppet's defense just now, but he destroyed the formation inside the puppet. Elder Jia was also injured. The puppet was shaken until it couldn't operate properly. Elder Jia naturally had to escape or he would be killed inside. However, Elder Jia couldn't escape. Without the puppet he was just a monarch. Datura was one of the best among the Sky Pillars, let alone a monarch. She didn't even use her ultimate move. She chased after Elder Jia and killed him with 2 slashes. Datura put away Elder Jia's storage ring and puppet. Then he looked at Night Sorrow. I told you to wait for me. Why didn't you behave? Hehe, I just came out as well. You came quickly, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then come back with me. Datura said. Wait for a moment. I've been asked by someone to take care of some matters. After that I'll go back. Night Sorrow said. He wanted to take care of Jun Yunan's matter. Then I'll go with you. Datura was now worried about Night Sorrow. There were too many people who wanted to kill Night Sorrow. Then Night Sorrow, Datura, Tang Bo, and Tang Yi went to the teleportation formation in the Xinhuang city and went directly to Mount Wuling. Brother Yi, who are you planning to meet? I can introduce you. After exiting the teleportation array, Junhua looked at Night Sorrow. I wonder if Brother Jun knows someone called Jun Yunan? Night Sorrow suddenly remembered that Jun Yunan and Junhua were both surnamed Jun. He could ask Junhua. If there was news, he didn't have to go to Mount Wuling officially. Jun Yunan. How do you know this name? After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Junhua was stunned. I saw his skeleton in the pavilion of heaven and earth. He asked me to help him with something. I want to see his wife, Night Sorrow said. Brother Yi, I won't hide it from you. Jun Yunan is my uncle. It's difficult for him to see my aunt. After my uncle's death, my aunt hasn't seen any guests for 3 million years. The mountain master doesn't allow anyone to disturb her. Junhua said. The great ancestor of the Jun family was an elder of the Mount Wuling. He had a good relationship with the Mount Wuling master, so Jun Yunan married the Mount Wuling master's daughter. As for Junhua, he was a junior who was valued by the Mount Wuling master and was taken in as a disciple. Of course, their seniority was different. First, it was the official version. Second, the other versions were all pirated versions. Thank you, Brother Jun. Night Sorrow cupped his hands to Junhua. Then Junhua took Night Sorrow and the others to a yard to rest. He went to report. Actually, even if you don't report, someone will come. Datura asked. The Mount Wuling master was a top force. They had a powerful figure. Her arrival would be sensed by them and they would come soon. Night Sorrow then told Datura what happened. While they were talking, a tall and sturdy man appeared in front of the yard. You are? The tall and sturdy man looked at Datura with suspicion. Datura from the dark abyss in the world of samsara. I'm here to accompany a friend. Datura looked at the man and said his identity. The man in front of him was a powerful figure. I'm the Mount Wuling master. I didn't know that the Dark Dominator would come. Sorry for not coming out to meet you. The Mount Wuling master cupped his hands to Datura. Then they sat down in the yard. Under the Mount Wuling master's inquiry, Night Sorrow told him his purpose. Alas, Jun Yunan was my son-in-law. Unfortunately, he was poisoned and there was no cure. He could only go to the pavilion of heaven and earth to try his luck. But he still died. The Mount Wuling master sighed. After a while, Junhua appeared with a woman with white hair who didn't look old at all. After entering the yard, the woman first greeted the Mount Wuling master and then said to Night Sorrow and the others, "I'm Jun Yunan's wife. It's like this. When I entered the heaven and earth pavilion this time, I went to the place where Senior Jun fell. I've already buried him. This is his storage ring. After this junior opened it, I found out about his last words. This junior didn't touch any resources and only learned Senior Jun's afterimage. What he wanted the most was a piece of thunder core iron that he obtained. He hoped that I could bring it back so that Senior could forge a suitable weapon for it." Yishang took out Jun Yunan's storage ring and handed it to the white-haired woman. "He missed me before he died. Yunan, I should have gone with you." The white-haired woman's voice was choked with sobs. At the same time she took the storage ring. "My condolences. Now, Senior Jun's wish has been fulfilled," Night Sorrow said. The white-haired woman took out a piece of purple ore from the storage ring. Then she handed Jun Yunan's storage ring to Night Sorrow. "I know him. His last words were for you to bring the thunder core iron back. These resources must be a gift to you. Even if you didn't come, no one would know and no one would say anything about you. Also, I'll remember your kindness for burying my late husband." "Senior, you're too kind." Night Sorrow shook his head. He felt that Jun Yunan meant to give the resources to him, but it was more appropriate for him to leave it to someone else. "Young man, take it. You entered the pavilion of heaven and earth for opportunities. This is also an opportunity," the Mount Wuling master said. "Kind of. I learned Senior Jun's residual shadow body. It's already an opportunity," Night Sorrow said. "You're a good young man. Let's skip the formalities. The Mount Wuling villa owes you a favor," the Mount Wuling master said. After the matter was settled, Night Sorrow planned to leave. He still had to deal with the Qing Emperor's matter. The Mount Wuling master sent Datura and Night Sorrow to the teleportation formation. "Brother Tang, Sister Tang, Night Sorrow still has something to do. I'll visit you another day." After arriving at the Black Yellow City and exiting the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow cupped his hands in front of his chest to Tang Bo and Tang Yi. "Speak." Chapter 1327. Unsealed Words. "Don't. Why don't you stay for a few more days?" Tang Bo was getting anxious. "Brother Tang, I'll definitely come when I have time. This time I found the elixir and I'm in a hurry to go back and treat Master," Night Sorrow said. "In that case I won't keep you. Just come when you have time," Tang Bo said after hearing Night Sorrow's words. "All right, I'll be waiting for Brother Tang and Senior Sister Tang at the Nine Chong Pagoda," Night Sorrow said to Tang Bo and Tang Yi. Tang Bo and Tang Yi both nodded. They both understood that Night Sorrow was indeed in a hurry. "I was going to invite you to the Sea King Palace as a guest, but you have urgent matters to attend to, so I can't keep you." Ai Ling also came. "Friends don't last forever. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future." Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Hai Ling. Hai Ling nodded. "If you need help, you can come to me." After cupping his hands at them again, Night Sorrow and Datura teleported to Samsara City and then to the Nine Chong Pagoda again. "Did it work?" Datura asked at this time. "Yes, we did. This time we gained a lot." Night Sorrow told Datura about this time's harvest. "Heavenly Tao. I've never heard of it, but the origin of the bound of universe won't lie. It should work." Datura was also very happy. For many years, the Dark Abyss and the Qing Emperor's dynasty had been at war. They were rivals but not enemies. She didn't want the Qing Emperor to fall. Most importantly, Datura knew that Night Sorrow had always blamed himself in his heart. If this problem was not solved, it would always be a knot in his heart. "Aluo, you've worked hard during this time." Night Sorrow looked at Datura and said, "There's no need for such words between us. The situation is stable now, but it's a bit stifling. Now that you're back, you should see how to deal with it. We have to open up the situation. They're too despicable," Datura said. "All right, I plan to go to Seven Night City. Aluo, are you coming?" Night Sorrow asked. "I won't go. Let the Qing Emperor have some peace. He doesn't want others to see him now. He is the Qing Emperor, Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded and sent Datura to the teleportation circle with Summer City, who had discovered his return. Uncle Summer, let's go. Night Sorrow nodded at Summer City and entered the teleportation circle. Your Highness, is it done? Summer City asked excitedly. It's done. Night Sorrow nodded. He was also very happy. After teleporting to Seven Night City, Night Sorrow went to the small lakeside house. In the small lakeside house, Jun Xuanji was making tea while the Qing Emperor and Misty Rain were talking. Seeing Night Sorrow return, the Qing Emperor nodded at Night Sorrow. Misty Rain pulled out a chair beside him and nodded at Summer City. Night Sorrow, sit beside Master's wife. Summer City, you sit too. Master, disciple has gained something this time. Although I didn't obtain the enlightened Tao, I obtained the heavenly Tao, which is more effective than the enlightened Tao. The origin of the profound yellow world said that a leaf is equivalent to the enlightened Tao. It can repair damaged dantian and meridians. Next, Night Sorrow plucked a leaf from the heavenly Tao and handed it to the Qing Emperor. Master, quickly eat it. Otherwise the spirit qi will dissipate. Holding the heavenly Tao leaf, the Qing Emperor nodded and swallowed it. After swallowing the heavenly Tao leaf, an indescribable aura appeared on the Qing Emperor's body. Master will go meditate. After nodding at Night Sorrow, the Qing Emperor returned to the small lakeside house. Master's wife, if everything goes well, Master will Wuyo's life and his strength will also recover. However, he will still have to endure the poisonous centipede's poison. Night Sorrow said. Your master is not a delicate person. He suffered a lot when he was young, so he cultivated a good temperament. Pain is nothing to him. It's good that he is alive, not to mention recovering his strength. It's been hard on you this time. Misty Rain said as she looked at the pavilion where the Qing Emperor was meditating. Xuanji, give me the latest information later. During this time they have been jumping around happily. I will deal with them later. Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji nodded. She knew Night Sorrow's temper. He would not cause trouble, but if someone provoked him he would not let it go. After that, Night Sorrow went to the city in the sky and met Father Gu, his parents, wife and children. After having dinner with his family, he returned to the Nine Chong building. After knowing that Night Sorrow had returned, the morale of the Qing Emperor's dynasty instantly soared. This was because the invincible commander had appeared. The officials and princes all arrived at Night Sorrow's place to report the situation of the association. Qing Lin and Qing Wan also arrived. It's been hard on everyone these days. Night Sorrow said. The officials all shook their heads. Qing Wan said that it was all thanks to Jun Xuanji that they could stabilize the situation. After that, Night Sorrow told everyone to calm down first. He would make arrangements for the following matters. On D6. Everyone left except for Qing Lin and Qing Wan. Sister, why aren't you going back? Qing Lin asked Qing Wan. Brother, why aren't you leaving? Qing Wan asked Qing Lin. After hesitating for a moment, Qing Lin said, I have something to tell junior brother. Don't hide good things. What else is there that I can't hear? Qing Wan replied directly. She had no intention of leaving. Senior brother, please speak your mind. I'll do what I can. Even if I can't, I'll think of a way. Night Sorrow said. I just want to ask you something. Is Xuanji married? Qing Lin asked after hesitating for a moment. Night Sorrow smiled. He understood what Qing Lin was thinking. His answer was to let Qing Lin ask him himself. Qing Lin smiled. Since junior brother said so, I have an answer. I used to have a wife but she didn't enter the king's dynasty. She left after leaving behind 2 children. Now that I have some feelings, I just don't know if it's suitable. I'll have to think about it. Night Sorrow looked at Qing Wan. Senior sister, tell me. Who do you like? Don't provoke those with families. We can't do anything immoral. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Qing Wan slammed the table. What are you talking about? What immoral thing have I done? I just want to ask you. What's the situation in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion? Is it as dirty as you think? Imperial younger sister, you're in the wrong here. Do you think that love between a man and a woman is dirty? Junior brother is right. We can't do anything immoral, Qing Lin said with a smile. I can't be bothered with the 2 of you. Qing Wan glared at Night Sorrow and Qing Lin before getting up and leaving. Junior brother, your senior sister is not bad. If you want, you can tell father and mother. Qing Lin said with a smile. Senior brother, you can't joke about this. That's my senior sister. Night Sorrow said seriously. Yes, Qing Luan is your senior sister. I remember that both your wives are your senior sisters. You're her killer. Qing Lin said. What are you talking about? I don't want to talk to you anymore. You won't understand. I'm going to find Uncle Xian Daozi to do something. Night Sorrow stood up. Okay. Let me know if you need anything. Qing Lin also stood up. After sending Qing Lin off, Night Sorrow didn't wait for Xian Daozi to find him. Instead, Xian Daozi and Shangguan Hong came to the 9-layer pavilion. Speak. Chapter 1328. Night Sorrow wanted to find Xian Daozi because of the Heavenly Dao Divine Artifact, the Haotian Divine Pagoda. Xian Daozi had said before that he would perform a divination for him. In the beginning it was because Xian Daozi had divined the body of virtue in the 9 regions world, so he couldn't continue. Later, Xian Daozi could, but Night Sorrow brought the pagoda of time and space into the reincarnation palace to cultivate, so he couldn't come out. Night Sorrow planned to use the pagoda of time and space to trouble Xian Daozi to find out where the missing part of the pagoda of time and space was. Night Sorrow brought Xian Daozi and Shangguan Hong into the main hall of the 9-layer pagoda and poured tea for them. Your Highness, you've been gone for almost 2 years and we've been very bored. We feel like heroes are useless, Xian Daozi said. When the time comes, just don't say that you're tired, Night Sorrow said. Xian Daozi and Shangguan Hong shook their heads. They felt that they had no passion and were bored. When Night Sorrow was there, he fought and beat the celestial sect until they ran away like rats. Now, the Qing Emperor's dynasty was very stable, but they were very depressed. After all, they were provoked. Uncle Xian Daozi, I want to ask you for a favor, Night Sorrow said to Xian Daozi. Your Highness is too polite. What is it? Your Highness, please tell me. Xian Daozi's attitude was very righteous. Uncle Xian Daozi, you know how this storm started. I want to know where the missing part of the pagoda of time and space is, Night Sorrow said. Yes, but it will be in 3 days. I'll make some preparations. In 3 days your Highness will go to the Qing Emperor's palace. Xian Daozi cupped his hands to Night Sorrow, then left the 9-layer pagoda. Uncle Xia, is this very troublesome? He looked at Summer City and asked. That's right, said Summer City. You need to burn incense, bathe and calm your mind. Divination is harmful to your own Dao, and many people don't want to learn it. Xian Daozi felt that his potential had been exhausted, which was why he chose to practice divination. Instead he made some progress. Now he needs to make some preparations to avoid the wrath of heaven. If I'd known, I wouldn't have said anything. I've caused Uncle Xian Daozi so much trouble. Night Sorrow felt somewhat apologetic. What trouble? He relies on this to make a living. He's a wily old fox. No problem, Shangguan Hong said. After resting in the 9 grand floors for 3 days, Night Sorrow, Summer City, and Shangguan Hong went to the Qing Emperor's palace, and then to Xian Daozi's astrology platform. At this moment, Xian Daozi was wearing hemp robes and a bronze crown. Your Highness, it's done. Xian Daozi, seated cross-legged on a prayer mat, nodded to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out the space-time pagoda and placed it in front of Xian Daozi. After that, Summer City and Shangguan Hong brought Night Sorrow outside to wait. At this time Xian Daozi could not be disturbed. Night Sorrow and the others made tea and waited. 4 hours later, Xian Daozi emerged and returned the space-time pagoda to Night Sorrow. Your Highness, the results of the divination are not very clear. There is no specific direction or location. This is the image. Your subordinate will leave the image here. Your Highness, take it. If you see this image you must pay attention. The space-time pagoda's flaw is here. Xian Daozi took out a crystal ball and handed it to Night Sorrow. Holding the crystal ball, Night Sorrow saw the image inside. Beneath the starry sky was a mountain, and below the mountain was a winding river. Night Sorrow had never seen such a scene before. Thank you for your hard work, Uncle Xian Daozi. Night Sorrow poured a cup of tea for Xian Daozi. A heavenly Dao divine artifact is not easy to divine. The interference is too great and I am unable to complete the details. This is the best I can do. There was an apologetic look on Xian Daozi's face. Uncle Xian Daozi, you are too polite. Thank you for your hard work, Night Sorrow said. It's nothing. Just a few days of rest. Additionally, you cannot divine for the next 3 years because even divination is not effective, Xian Daozi said. After that, Night Sorrow brought Xian Daozi and the others to a restaurant for a meal. Xian Daozi went to rest while Night Sorrow returned to 9-layered building. After that, Night Sorrow and Summer City teleported to Seven Night City. Night Sorrow and Summer City were both worried about Qing Emperor's situation. When they arrived at the lakeside building in Seven Night City, Night Sorrow saw Misty Rain pacing back and forth with his hands behind his back. "Master's wife, Master hasn't come out of seclusion yet?" Night Sorrow asked. "No, he has been meditating. However, there are energy fluctuations coming from his body." "That is a good thing," Misty Rain said. "Master's wife, there is no need to worry. The essence of a great world would not lie. If he says there is no problem, then there is no problem," Night Sorrow said. Although he was a little anxious, he still believed in the effects of the heavenly Tao. Misty Rain nodded. She knew how much Night Sorrow had spent on Qing Emperor's matter. Half a month later, Qing Emperor came out of seclusion. After coming out, Qing Emperor punched the air, causing an energy vortex to churn in the air. "I have 30% of my cultivation," Qing Emperor said, looking at his fist. "How can it be 30%? Master, your dantian and meridians have not been repaired yet?" Night Sorrow asked. "They have been repaired. The damage in my body has also been repaired. However, my dantian was destroyed by the puppet's destructive energy. My dantian and meridians have been repaired, but it will take time to cultivate the energy back. Now that I have recovered 30%, it is already very good. Give me some time and I will be able to fully recover my cultivation." Qing Emperor was very satisfied with the current results. "Master, with your cultivation, you can suppress the evil venomous centipede." Night Sorrow was very happy to hear Qing Emperor's words. Although the evil venomous centipede has not been solved, it can be suppressed. There will be no problems in the future. Don't worry. Give me some time and all the troubles will be no trouble. Qing Emperor was also very happy to feel that his dantian and meridians were fine. "There is more. Master, this is the elixir I refined." Night Sorrow took out the Thunder Pattern Soft Jade Tendon Elixir. Thunder Pattern Soft Jade Tendon Elixir. What kind of elixir is this? Qing Emperor asked in surprise when he saw the elixir that Night Sorrow took out. Soft Jade Tendon Elixir. It is an elixir that strengthens the meridians. Night Sorrow explained the effect of the Soft Jade Tendon Elixir. "Good. Master will accept it." Qing Emperor nodded with a smile. "Master's wife, I don't have any good gifts for you. Here are 3 drops of soul cultivation elixir." Night Sorrow took out a small bottle and handed it to Misty Rain. "Ah. Master's wife appreciates your kindness. In the past, your master obtained a drop of soul cultivation elixir. Master's wife and a few people in Summer City have used it. You can keep it," Misty Rain said. "Master's wife, please accept this Thunder Pattern Soft Jade Tendon Elixir." Night Sorrow took out a Thunder Pattern Soft Jade Tendon Elixir. After thinking for a while, Misty Rain accepted it. However, when Night Sorrow gave it to Summer City and Shangguanhong rejected it. They only wanted ordinary elixirs. They didn't want the Thunder Pattern Soft Jade Tendon Elixir. Night Sorrow had no choice but to take out 2 ordinary elixirs. Unique %V original/version Q**. They were all pirated. "Master, do you know how many Heaven Master level puppets the Celestial Sect has?" Night Sorrow asked. "The second update has arrived. There will be an explosion of 10 updates today. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your unblocking yesterday. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.